That was not a smooth transition, but hey, we're live. That's the mood today. That is the mood today.
Oh, we just kicked down the door like the Kool-Aid man.
Hard cut.
Fuck it, hi. Welcome to the show, goddammit. No, okay. Hello, everybody.
Give me 1 second. Let me just try. No, it's not gonna work.
Wait, what's going on?
Oh, well, I was gonna just do a quick little.
I'm sorry, I dissociated for a whole last second. Hi, everybody.
And now there we go. Smooth transition.
I always feel so bad for our guests. They're like, this is the operation. This is it. This is it, baby.
No,
right.
I watched the show. I know what we were getting into.
Okay, good. You know we're a full ass mess. But you know what? We're a full ass mess with good intentions.
We are a wreck. It's true. At least train wrecks are entertaining.
Exactly. Good morning, everyone. I'm trying so hard to get the intro down so they don't put the little bingo card on us. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Morning Ritual. I'm your host, Noir. That is the better host, Anita.
No, apparently not, because I just did a hard cut straight into the show.
Listen, I'm trying right now, baby. You gotta work with me.
You're doing your best. I'm doing my best. I just about slept in. I just about missed the show.
And we have with us two special guests today. The team from TTRPG, which I love that name so much.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let you all introduce yourself, starting with you, Nikki.
I am Nikki. I am a 5th grade teacher as well as internet personality. What do we call it? Like streamer? Like what do we call ourselves?
Show host? Streamer.
Yeah. Co-creator of TeaTRPG, a channel dedicated to marginalized folks in the community. And
okay, that's the show.
LGBTQ.
I'm just gonna hard cut to the break at the end.
And then an LGBTQ and disabilities advocate for educators.
Nice.
Oh. And moving right along to you, Reecie. Hey, how's it going? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Doing great. This is exactly what I needed this morning. My name's Reecie. I'm a novice player, new to the community, and am active in trying to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table. Former beauty queen.
We are so gonna delve into that.
Another thing you need to know about her, Noir, is Reecie had her own show in Vegas. Like she was the head of a band.
That too, musician. Forgot.
You
Buried the lead there.
We're like 5 minutes in. I've already broke Noir.
Okay, well, first off, what do you play?
I am a singer, so I sang professionally in Las Vegas. I was in a few bands and performed and toured. I also am a piano player, but that's just something that I can't do at the same time as I sing. So I am a songwriter as well.
So you just go come here on our show.
I could. I'm also I went to college for music production, so I produce music and can run a soundboard.
You were about to not mention that you led a band in Vegas.
Yeah, and it was actually within the first month that I moved there. I auditioned for a band and became their lead singer, and we hit the ground running. We won our first show, which was Battle of the Bands.
Oh, I always
And how old were you, Reecie?
I was 19, 20 years old, and I had to basically sneak into all the venues I played at because everyone in the band was older than me. I got away with it, though, and underage drinking.
I'm starting to understand why this is the TTRPG, because Nikki is just spilling. Nikki's like, well, let me show you what this is about. What else is Reecie?
Well, in our first episode, somebody said something shady and like not like throwing shade at the community. And Reecie and I didn't mean to do this, but we totally both took a drink of our tea at the same time, and I'm just like,
yes,
that's some hot tea. It also gives us time to think. Like by taking a sip, it gives me time to think of my next question.
Reminds me, I don't have anything to drink on my desk. I gotta solve that eventually. We'll figure it out.
we'll get it worked out. I also don't have coffee, so this first half is gonna be rough. I like the TTRPG team is the tea and we're the coffee. I feel like we're manifesting the differences between these two drinks. Yes. So I've got
I can't
questions.
hydrate, Faye. I don't have anything to hydrate with.
I've got here. I'll take it for both of us. Morning soda. That's disgusting. I've got questions about the beauty pageant community, and you said that you're new to the TTRPG community, so I have to ask, which one has been trickier to navigate for you?
To be honest, the TTRPG community has been way trickier, and especially like still breaking in and somehow having our own show about it makes it like really daunting, but I also feel qualified because of my pageant past.
That's fair, and I have to ask you, Nikki, which is harder to deal with, your students or the TTRPG community?
Okay, so kids listen when you give them feedback
And instructions.
They take directions, and they are more open to the idea that they're wrong. So the kids are way better to deal with than the TTRPG
That sounded like the exact opposite of a lot of the members in the TTRPG community.
But also, Nikki's speaking as a GM, so that
is true. And the thing is like, and that's the biggest part, is that being open to being wrong. And I think that a lot of adults don't have that skill anymore, and it's something that needs to like be more part of our culture, and it's not. And I think that's something that we could learn from kids, is that it takes a lot of rapport building. Like I have to get the kids comfortable with being wrong before they are willing to take risks in the classroom, and so we do a lot of growth mindset kind of stuff. But like the kids are way more open emotionally and intellectually than a lot of the adults I've had to deal with. Though I have thankfully stayed out of drama, except for that weird pocket individual. But other than that, I've basically stayed out of the drama in the TTRPG community.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I think we all have. I think part of being in this scene is like having your first villain. In a weird way, it's just like that. Like the first time you leave your keyboard, like, are you fucking kidding me? I think that is the baptism into this scene.
I had my first Not All Man the other day.
Ugh. No thanks. Shut it down. Well, I'd like to think I'm one of the reasons that guy went private. But we could talk about that during Dark Roast.
I gotta tell y'all, we've never had a guest as prepared. So this is like, I'm like, oh, she mentioned Dark Roast. All right. I'll play your game. So one of the things that I do love about the TTRPG community is like, so we all come here to play games and to enjoy games in the company of people that play games, but a lot of us have day jobs or aspects of our lives that aren't necessarily predominant when we're in this space. for example, I spent a lot of my time working and building software for procurement and all that kind of stuff. It just doing all manners of things that aren't RPG related, but I kind of inadvertently bring that stuff to my games and to into this scene. And here we have a teacher and a like a beauty queen. Like, do you ever feel like that seeps into your characters, your stories, or anything like that? I'm just very curious to see like how that transfers over,
At least for me, because I only have a few characters that I've played, but my most recent one from my campaign that ended like over a month ago, my character is a queen. So I literally was able to cosplay as my character because I had a crown handy.
For me, somebody once asked me, so like a parent of a student who also plays D&D asked me like, what's it like comparing being a GM to being a teacher? And I was like, well, it's actually a lot the same. It's like herding chickens sometimes. Sometimes you spend hours working on something and they finish it in 5 minutes. Sometimes you spend 5 minutes working on a lesson or a game piece and it will take them 4 hours. And so it's about managing time and personalities. I think also I bring the organizational aspect of being a teacher. So I make a lot of forms. We do a lot of spreadsheets and we keep things super organized. And I think with Reece's busy schedule and my busy schedule, that's really important.
Absolutely. Now, talking about your busy schedule, I kind of want to get into TTRPG. How did that form? Like, were you two friends before TTRPG, or did you have the idea? You're like, I need to talk with somebody, and I think I get on with this person. Like, I kind of want to know the story of how that happened.
Well, we were both working together with the guild, and Reecie and I were chatting, and we wanted to have a stream show, a talk show, and then it turned out like we both really wanted to have a talk show as a kid.
Yeah. A shared childhood dream.
Yeah. And I wanted to have like a real talk show. Like I wanted musical guests and I wanted like 2 interviews. And so it's been really fun. And then I was like, what are we gonna call it? And then one day I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, TTRPG. Yeah. And I like told Reecie and she's like, oh my God, yes. And I was like, and we can work with Friday afternoon tea, because she's like a local tea vendor. And it just spiraled from there. And then we're just learning more and more about like how much we have in common. Like my birthday's the same birthday as Reece's mom.
Yeah. And we're in the same month.
Yeah, we're both Leos.
Which there's 4 fire signs.
But also just
Leo's off the bat.
Yes. It's about to get real hot in here. Like when we originally said, oh, what about tea? And then we both were just like, oh, we're spilling the tea on TTRPGs. And then after that came, we should get a tea sponsor. We should be talking to Friday. And it just built up from there, and it became something that was like so creative, but also something that was like so cute. We wanted it to be cute and give a little bit of that girl factor to it with our little chibi characters that were created after us and just our theme and everything like that.
I love that. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I found in doing this show, like, obviously you get close to your coworker or your co-host or whatever. Words don't work. But I can tell you the only thing I regret about this show is the time slot.
Okay, let's talk about the time slot.
I'm sorry, y'all may have started a fight. Here we go. Yes.
I chose 9 a.m. Because I knew it was 10 a.m. for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that it covered every single time zone in North America. That is a morning time zone. There is thought that went into this process.
What you underestimated was the fact that yesterday is Friday and I get powerful drunk. I have the high ground. Sorry.
Literally, because...
No, I'm out. Anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna cut to end.
Anyway, so it's great to see how that kind of formed, and I'm loving the fact that more and more of these shows are coming out so that we can see the personalities in the community. Where do you see, like, I suppose the question that I'm asking next is, like, where do you see TTRPG going next? Like, what do you feel is like the next move for you? Because I do have to say, I love the format. I love that it feels like you were inspired a lot by the late shows, the late night shows.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I know, like, for me, my personal, like, the thing that I aspire to be with this show is, like, I kind of want to take the format of, like, Howard Stern, but without the suck and yuck.
But take the cishet white man out of it.
Yeah, you know, let's take the
form.
Let's take the format of Howard Stern, remove the yuck, and then actually add flavoring and and seasoning, and that's what I aspire to be with this. I feel like a late night influence with TTRPG, and I really dig that. But it's just like if you had like an angel investor and you could, you know, do whatever, what would that look like?
It would definitely look like not having to go back to work. But our goal is to eventually become Twitch affiliates. And with that, like, we started out with the talk show, but we realized, like, we also need to continue to cultivate our actual playing of TTRPGs. So we're going to start live streaming a few games.
Heck yeah.
And then another thing that we're doing is applying to do TTRPG live at, like, Comic-Cons. Yes. So we have Geek Girl Con and Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle. So we're definitely looking at that, which, God, if that happened, I would die. I would love that so much. Like, a free pass for the con, and then just to, like, be a part of it. I did a panel at Geek Girl Con once, and it was just so great. But yeah, so we've got Pasión de las Pasiones coming up, and then Car, my girlfriend, and I are starting a double date game night, and so that'll be one Friday a month where we get together with another couple where at least one of them is a streamer. They both have to be comfortable with streaming, and yes, I want to have you two on so badly.
Thank you. I'm down.
Yeah, so we're gonna get together. I think, Noir, that you and Car would get along really well. She's Car beat 2 times in the chat. But yeah, so, like, we are gonna do that on, I think our first episode is next Friday. And yes, AJ double date. I would love to have Kelsey and AJ on as well.
They're so disgustingly adorable. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Well, and so we recently adopted Kelsey as one of our queer children, and so my girlfriend and I have adopted a bunch of queer kids. But yeah, so double date game night, we're going to play games. So it might be a TTRPG, it might be that we start a farm on Stardew Valley with somebody, it might be like Jackbox games, whatever we want to do, board games online. And then starting on I don't think we're going to start on the 5th, probably the 12th, because I'm not fully prepared. But Sim and I are going to start doing a Stardew Valley stream. But I'll let Reecie tell you about Pasión de las Pasiones, since she's going to be on it. So.
Yes, I'm very excited. This is my first time being able to be a part of a campaign that isn't D&D. Like I played one-shots before that were not D&D, but I'm very excited about this. This is Pasión de las Pasiones is a telenovela style RPG where basically there's just lots of drama. And this one is actually based in the old Western days. So it's a lot of cowboy Southern stuff, and I'm real excited.
Well, and it's great because Christina was like, I want to do a Western. Like when they told me they wanted to, there was like a couple ideas and Western was one of them. And I was like, please do Western. Yes. I grew up watching Tombstone. Like I love Western movies, but they're so white and they're so cis hetero, and that wasn't what the West was actually like. That's and so
historically accurate.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a little more historically accurate. It's gonna be super gay, and
all Latinx cast, which is very exciting for me, just because I don't get to see a lot of color in the community, and this will be my first time being at a table with brown folks.
Yeah.
And like it was so funny. I had tears in my eyes like listening to them during the session 0. So I'm so fucking excited for that.
So I guess one of the things that I'm very curious about, because I know nothing about it, just kind of going back to the beauty pageant, because I'm trying to think, there is a TTRPG for everything. Literally everything. Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, Leverage, just whatever you could think of. There is a, and this is actually a plug. I don't know the people who make this game at all, but I love it to death. There is actually a game for reality TV shows called I Didn't Come to Make Friends.
Oh my god, this is so relevant because the one time that I became a GM, it was only because like my group was just like, let's try something. Everybody roll a dice and we'll see who's gonna be the GM today. And I rolled a 20 and I'm like, I'm gonna do something weird with this. I'm like a huge fan of The Bachelor, which also happens to attract beauty queens. Same style, you got to show up in an evening gown and show up and try to win. So there needs to be, if there is, I need to play it, but there needs to be an RPG for The Bachelor. I basically made it to where like the characters were welcoming in everyone from the limo on like episode 1, but then it got weird because it's D&D. But also, if I have to be the one to make like the beauty pageant RPG, I feel like it would actually answer a lot of questions and bring people in a way that makes it inclusive, because there is that stigma that beauty queens think that they're better than everyone else, when really it's a very community service based and self-empowerment type of activity to do, and I want more people to feel that empowerment.
That's exactly where I was going with this, because it's just like, I feel like TTRPGs are a great way for us to learn about different aspects of different cultures. And a lot of what I know about beauty pageants is problematic. It's like, it's from an outside view, it's an outside view presented by people that don't necessarily take part in the culture. And when that happens, when that's the case, you usually get a skewed view of things. And I can recognize that as, if I were to believe what people said about like rap culture or hip hop culture, then I would feel a type of way about it. But because I know that culture, I know that what's presented is often bullshit. And so like I can kind of see that with the beauty pageant. So I'm kind of
I was like that too. Like I'm not like a toddler pageant kid. Like I came in having those doubts about what it is, and only through meeting someone that was very influential to me and just taking a chance, because the only reason that I wanted to do it was because I wanted to sing on stage. I didn't care for the swimsuit competition. Interview, great. It's a good skill to have, but I'm sure I already have a job, whatever. But through the whole process, like I actually it wasn't even about just performing my talent anymore. It became a lifestyle that still, I mean, back when I first started, that was about 14 years ago, and I'm still involved to this day. So there is a community being built there. When I go to these events, it's like I get to see my family. So the correlation with community in the pageant world and community in the TTRPG world, it actually feels about the same, but you don't know until you actually come in.
I have a question, Reecie.
Yeah.
What do you think of Miss Congeniality, the movie?
You beat me.
I'm sorry, I took your
Okay.
job.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
The interviewer here.
Any pageant movie that you watch is very fabricated and not how it actually is. But there is a lot of fun parts about Miss Congeniality, and we joke about it in the pageant community. Every, what is it, April 26th or something.
This is the perfect
24th,
date.
yeah. We always say Happy Pageant Girl Day, and because it's like the perfect date because it's not too hot, not too cold.
Not too cold.
For a light jacket.
I demand a Miss Congeniality reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it dark and gritty.
Well, that's the thing. So the interesting part of that movie is that it was fairly diverse in the cast, which was cool.
Yeah.
So I think if we rebooted it, it wouldn't be that way. Like, honestly.
But I mean, the storyline of that movie actually does track with what it's like coming in to the pageant community. Like, she came in all rugged and having her tomboyish interests, which coming out, she still was doing her job as a cop, but she learned how to have a sisterhood and to respect women in a way that includes her as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how's there not a board game for Miss Congeniality yet, where you have to like, you have to balance between cop or pageant.
That sounds like that sounds like a Grant Howitt game. You have two stats: cop and pageant.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Reecie. I wrote down on my notebook, beauty pageant, TTRPG.
Yes.
We're making this.
Yes.
That's like exactly what I kind of wanted to nudge y'all on. Is just like, I feel like this needs to happen because we always need more representation for everybody in this space. And so here's the other piece of media that I wanted to ask you
You're
about.
right,
just
Michael.
because
Justice is a better stat than cop.
Justice.
Yes.
Justice and pageant. Those are your two stats.
Justice and poise.
Justice and poise.
Ooh. Can we find a J word that like represents pageantry? Like, so it's I'm just a sucker for alliteration.
Justice and rules.
That just sounds like
But, so let me ask about this other piece of media, because so again, this goes back to people not understanding pageantry or belittling it, which also is a thing with our society in general. I know, like, a lot of the times when I see popular clips from pageants, it's usually somebody fucking up. Like, and I think the most popular one is like a couple of years ago. Yeah, somebody she got asked a question about international politics. It just kind of rambled for 2 minutes.
Yes.
And it's just like before I ask the question of, like, you know, does that make doing this scary? Because, you know, like, if you fuck up, it will be highly memeable because people are awful. But it's just like, I just feel like that whole thing was unfair, because if like you ask me while I'm in a dress and trying to focus on this one thing, what do I think about international politics? I'm probably gonna like beatbox for 2 minutes too. What I think is
the thing is, like, there's months of preparation that goes into that competition, and being up there on the stage is, your mind is in so many different places. When you're asked these questions, that's actually the hardest part of the competition. I will say that sometimes when we get some of these real dumb answers, it's because they didn't do their homework. And if you really want to win and get the job of Miss America or Miss USA or Miss United States, there's so many pageants, then you have to prepare. And that means and this is what I do because I'm actually a coach, I'm a director, I'm a producer. We set up mock interviews for them ahead of time so they can prepare. They are encouraged to watch the news every day, read the newspaper, do research, formulate their own opinions on a wide variety of subjects. So, but you can definitely mess it all up. And the most important thing to take away from that is that it doesn't mean that you have to give up. It means you have to come back even stronger the next year. But I've messed up on stage, but I survived.
So my favorite like viral video, it was on TikTok, was there's a lesbian competing, and she the like, you know, MC asks her, how are you doing, and she's like, I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm ready to go. And she goes, that might not be the best pageant answer, but
no, it totally is.
And he was like, no, that's a great answer. And I was like, yes, my femme lesbian representation. Yes. It made me so happy.
I'm living seeing that more and more. So much has changed since I originally competed, and like, you had to cover up our tattoos in the swimsuit competition. That's not really a thing anymore. Also, there is no swimsuit competition anymore, and it allows more women of different body types. Also, even this year for Miss Washington, we have our very first non-binary contestant. So the inclusion is getting up there. We have women whose platform is LGBTQ rights in education. So, like, it's actually way more diverse than you think. I was the first Black woman and Hispanic woman to win the title that I won.
Awesome, and also congratulations. Here's a question I've just been curious about. Do the contestants know the question that they're going to be asked before they're asked it?
No. Nope.
Okay, I wanted to confirm that because I'm not going to get into a rant. I'm just going to say it's a little fucked up that we want our beauty pageant to answer questions that our presidents can't.
Yes, that's the thing.
Absolutely.
They are very educated women. The program that I'm a part of is the Miss America organization. It is a scholarship program. Whatever money you win goes straight towards your college education. So these are smart women, and they actually are better at answering questions than people that are running for president or our president.
It's just the fact that some dude can just ask you anything from economics to international politics,
yeah,
and you gotta be able to like smile,
yeah,
gorgeous, and give me a succinct answer. Like it's almost to the point where it's just like, I think I saw a comedy skit was where there's a beauty pageant, and the question was, how do you solve world hunger? And she gave an answer, and it was just like, shit, yeah, I think she's right. So I think the name of the game is we just need to like start asking beauty pageants all these like serious questions, because we're holding them to a higher standard than anybody the fuck else really at this point.
And I mean, if that's any reason that partially inspired our show, it's that I was always the one being asked the questions, and now I want to be the one to ask the questions.
All right. So, last question on pageants, and then I'll move on. Which D&D class would do the best at beauty pageants to you two?
Nikki, you should answer first.
I was going, so I'm gonna go rogue.
Ooh.
Expertise.
Yeah, rogues are
expertise.
high charisma, entertainment background as the background, and then or entertainer as the background. High dex, like they could do acrobatics for their talent, which would be something different because like a bard might go up there and sing or read poetry or something, but I think like acrobatics would be fucking cool, especially if they can add some like fire batons like that girl in Miss Congeniality. But yeah, I'm going rogue, and I also think that it's like that high intelligence would really play in well with answering those questions, and I think they'd be able to like fit into any group as well, and so that's really important, as well as getting along with the people that you're hanging out with, that you're going to be around.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, at first I would think bard because of the performance factor of it, but like you really do gotta go rogue in order to be a part of this. Like you gotta put everything into it, take a huge risk, and hope for the best outcome.
All right, Anita, what about you?
I don't know. Auburn Alchemist in chat has a very good point that the Eloquence Bard class is now a thing.
Okay, I am gonna buck all of that and say wizard, and I have a reason why.
Okay.
I think there is a spell for every aspect of pageantry. I think Alter Self gets you a lot of the way through. I think for your talent, prestidigitation, some basic magic tricks, that'll get you through. Yeah. And I think when it comes to whatever fuck ass question that they could have asked, I'm sorry, I'm just mad at the questions because I'm putting myself through that, and I think that's the part that would make me
Noir's new
upset.
like recurring nightmare is going to be pageants. Like he's going to be up there.
No, I want to put him through a mock interview, and be the person to ask these questions. As a judge, I have this experience, but like, I want you to survive this. So I'll be, and this is the thing, some questions are actually not that scary. Like, I really think.
Okay, what's a not scary question?
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
This is the question that got me the win, and I only know this because I'm friends with the judge that judged me.
Okay.
The question was, who's your favorite Disney princess and why? And because I was like obsessed with Disney princess, the way that I lit up and had like an answer for that on the spot, and like they could see that I was really passionate about it, that's when they realized my personality. They didn't care about, I don't remember anything else in my interview except for that question.
What princess did you say?
I said Ariel, the Little Mermaid, because she has an amazing singing voice, just like me. And I've always dreamed of being a mermaid. I love to swim. And I got a little deep with it, and I'm like, and she has like a rough relationship with her dad, but at the end, it's very evident that they both love each other and want each other to be happy.
Oh,
that is a really good answer.
Really good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
That is a good answer. I can tell you for a fact that I would have fucked that question up. My first thought was Mulan. Shit, Mulan's not a princess. Is Mulan a princess? Fuck it. Mulan's a princess.
She's gonna be a princess today.
Yes.
Noir's gonna struggle in our pageant TTRPG.
I instantly lose. He's
like, I'm all justice, no poise.
I love the two stats being justice and poise. That's perfect.
dare you ask me these questions?
Apparently Mulan is classified as a princess because of her heroic deeds.
She shows up on Disney merch that has all the princesses, so you kind of have to pick and choose, I guess, how you feel about
Mulan is classed as a princess because that doesn't make any fucking sense. You can't just do heroic deeds and be like, princess now. That's not how it works.
I think she got elevated to princess for, like, you know, so that little Asian girls could see themselves as a princess too.
I mean, I respect that, but like in the like, I know she's a princess, but like my brain is also trying to be like, how?
Hey, it's easier to be a Disney princess than to be a beauty queen.
Fair.
Damn.
Fair.
I said it.
That's a mood.
Said
My
it,
favorite
I
princess,
meant it.
Aladdin. Wait, is Aladdin a princess? Fuck it, he is one now.
Yes. You're princess now.
Tinkerbell was a Disney princess, then her princess status was revoked.
What did Tinkerbell do?
She tried to kill Wendy.
What did Tinkerbell do?
Oh,
Tinkerbell just got caught drunk driving.
he is a rogue.
Tinkerbell knows what she did.
Yeah.
Tinkerbell, we're gonna need
She's
you
like,
to
and I
blow
do
this
it again.
breathalyzer.
Yeah.
I mean, we did go into this bit about how Tinkerbell is probably, like, the most powerful, especially if Tinkerbell was a stand-up comedian.
Clap for me.
Clap for
It
me.
gives me
Yes.
it gives me strength.
Take that wand. She gets what she wants.
You know, I used to be a princess.
Smoking a cigarette. Why do I just picture this dirt and gritty Tinkerbell sitting in the back of
Because
a
she
jail
had that
cell?
attitude.
Yeah.
Smoking
She
a
had
cigarette.
the dude. She's just like,
Yo, can we get a dark and
once.
can we get a dark and gritty Tinkerbell film like Cruella? Like where she
It's just
loses
gonna be
her.
called Tink.
yes.
And it needs to be one of those live action remakes.
Yes. She just smoking at a bar. It's a big world out there. Okay.
Oh my
They
God.
They say that all you need is faith and trust, but I'm all out of pixie dust.
Oh my god. Do you know what it's like hanging out with children all day?
Oh my god, is this me as an adult? Actually, I'm an adult. An older adult?
An adultier adult?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find all this. I'm gonna find all the sons of bitches that took my princess status,
Oh.
and then I'm gonna make them pay.
See, this is where when the wrong person gets magic in their hands, something really bad can happen.
True.
Okay, so sorry for the deviation.
That took a weird turn.
Welcome to this weird
Let's say
show.
that's not surprising. Like I fully knew that my face and stomach are gonna hurt by the end of this.
Yeah.
There are 4
all the
fire
laughing.
signs in this chat, and a minimum of 3 of us have ADHD. So,
I'm one of the ones that have it.
You do or you don't? Because
I do. I definitely do. You'll often catch me just looking at nothing like.
Yep. That's me.
that feeling when you walk into a room and you forgot why you went in there.
Yep.
oh, do all of us have
Oh.
ADHD? This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my partner has ADHD too, and we present it very differently. So it's always like, which one of us is gonna be on top of things?
You ever
today?
come to and you're like in the fridge and you're like, why am I here?
I
You
will
just love the
you
way
just
the
forget
light
to eat.
basks over you.
I will
Yeah.
pull my phone up to set an alarm for something so I don't burn something or I'm not late for something, and then I'll have a notification and I'll be like, wait, was I doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on Twitter now. Fuck. And so that's why I'm not gonna say the name of it, but my smart device that I can just tell it to set a timer
the
is
name.
my best friend.
Yes.
I was just about
I
to say
depend on
that.
her so much.
Yep.
I have to say what's on my mind, and if I don't, then I'm gonna completely forget. So
I have to
Can help
constantly
you.
ask her to repeat herself because I
So-
space out
so
when I ask for the
I
letter.
can say Alexa because I've changed my trigger word to be computer. because it makes me feel like Captain Picard.
Yes.
I know that. I have a friend that has that on her.
Computer, play My Chemical Romance. I need to feel that.
Hopefully she didn't pick you up there.
No, we're good.
I
have to project.
Okay.
I asked her to play Return of the Mac when I'm feeling like I woke up in a good mood, and it became like my most played song of 2020.
Ever since I've gotten it, I have consistently fallen asleep to listening to Radiohead because that's the kind of depressed I am.
Yesterday I was watching a TikTok, and the TikTok said Alexa, and said like Alexa blah blah blah, and then my Alexa started playing the song at the same time as the TikTok, and I was so confused for a second. Because we have Alexa in the living room, and then each of us have our own echoes. No,
making sure
never mind. But if our doors are open and I talk loud enough, I'll set things on my partner's office as well. So that's fun.
I have one in every room of the house, if that tells you how much ADHD affects me.
I've only got one in my bedroom, but
I live in a Shire hut. Like, it's a little itty bitty box, and like I'm already thinking about getting another one. So are you all on the TikTokies? Are you all on the TikTok?
We're on there. We don't have anything yet, but that is definitely another goal for TTRPG. I've only posted like 3 TikToks on my own channel, but I'm learning to have a little bit more time on my hands. So I'm hoping that we can get some really fun, cute things going on there.
Yeah, I've just started really getting into it, and D&D TikTok is present. it is a thing, but it is also kind of funny because I feel like a lot of the people that are in D&D TikTok don't necessarily watch a lot of Twitch streams, so if you're going there, you're kind of starting from zero again. Which is fun because I haven't been told that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about in a while. So that's great.
Hi, TikToks with Nora are great. You're right, AJ.
Yes.
My one video on TikTok is my Pride look from our Pride episode.
Nice.
Because I really liked how I did my makeup, and I was like, I need everyone to see this. So I'm gonna post this video as well. So that's the only video I have on there.
Noir said the computer is yours one night, and Alexa heard computer and started playing Jason Mraz, I'm yours.
Goodness.
Yeah, that was very
weird.
Weird.
It's just listening to you at all times.
Yeah, and that was weird because like we heard singing coming from somewhere, and I'm like, I'm checking the computer, like there's no Jason Mraz here. There's no Mr. A to Z here, and then I realized it's coming from the echo, and I got scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was about to leave Jay to die because I thought Ghost took over.
You're on your own, kid. Bye.
Look, God for us all. Every man for himself, God for us all. So it sounds like someday we can expect a live episode of TTRPG. So it sounds like you're planning on going to cons again. What cons are you looking to go to? Maybe this year or next year?
So we are going to apply to do Emerald City Comic Con. That'll be in December. So then, like, if we don't feel comfy doing it, like if this Delta variant goes bananas, we can always back out. And so that's one we're definitely applying for.
Nice. Let's see. How about next year? If God willing, everything dies down. Well, better choice of words could be chosen. If everything gets better next year, what does that look like? Still just Emerald City, or
I want to go to every single con possible. Like, that's one of the main things that I'm missing during this panorama. But if we would have to just apply to every single thing and see what we get. but that would also show a lot for what TTRPG becomes in the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think definitely Rose City Con in Portland, because we could easily drive there, would be a good one. It's small enough that I think that we could get in. Geek Girl Con, because it's local and it's all about femmes and families. They have like a whole, at the bottom floor, they have a whole area where this group comes in and does science experiments with kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's super nice. And they're very inclusive. So like they have rooms, they have quiet rooms. They have a station where there's always at least 2 people there to help you fix your cosplay. Including like they have sewing stuff, like everything to help you fix your cosplay. The thing with the glue, hot glue gun. And they like always have somebody there to like take your picture for free. And they always have this group that comes in and does your hair. So like if you want them to do your hair, they'll do your hair, which is really fun. So yeah, Geek Girl Con is so much freaking fun. Yeah.
You just reminded me of all the things that I miss about conventions.
Yeah.
One of the things that I miss the most is the cosplay medics. Just everybody with like all the extra yarn and stitching stuff. So they just find people whose costumes have like been damaged and they're like running over to them. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fan Expo Vancouver would be fun, and that's another one that's
and there's
pretty
also
close by.
There's also VanCaf. So you could take it international if you wanted to take it to Canada.
We could. That'd be fun.
I know that personally I'm getting set for Gen Con this year. I'm considering Gamehole Con, but there's stuff there. But it feels good to have everybody back, and I can't wait to see what a live episode of your show looks like. I'm hoping it can also still be streamed on Twitch so we can get that live vibe.
We'll have to have a crew help us make sure that we're filmed and everything, but
yeah,
we have what it takes to be able to do that. And it would feel even more like the late night talk show that you're even talking about.
Yeah.
You could have like the special guest coming in from backstage.
Well, we already know like locally who we would have on. So we have the Sarah Shea as our musician, and then we definitely have Friday on as one of our guests because she's just endlessly interesting. Like her brain is so freaking cool. Yeah. Yeah, she's just got her fingers in so many different things. So yeah, she's a great person.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Puddin'.
I guess we need a special blend tea for each city that we pour to.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
We should talk. Yeah.
The tea puns, they'll never end.
We have to. Noir. Did you break him? We'll have to talk to Friday about that because that's a really good idea.
Yes.
Or do it based on the con because she does fandom.
She'll tell us what, because this is what is cool about Friday, is she can taste words. So if we just tell her what tea is Gen Con, she would literally just tell us.
Yeah.
Speaking of flavors, I have to ask you a question that we ask every guest. Look at that segue. There is a war going on in the TTRPG community. I'm sure that you're already aware of it. And I don't look forward to asking this question because I'm afraid of the answer. But there are those among us who believe that dice are forbidden candies and that they should be crunched. Not crunched, because crunched is what happens when you eat edible die. They believe that you put these in your mouth and just chew on them.
So I have a lot of feelings about this. so I'm long time stop the crunch. Like I was with you at the
Yes.
beginning.
I don't like where this is going.
And recently I had a root canal because I was grinding my teeth so much. So the idea that people would risk breaking their teeth to put something covered in germs in their mouths, that's a no from me.
I did not know this was a thing until I watched one of your episodes. What?
Yes, people are crunching their dice. And then there are cowards like my hero, Brenda Lee Mulligan, who can't pick a side and tell these people decisively, don't do this because it's bad for you. But I will because I care about you.
Oh my gosh, like, did we not learn anything as children? Like, you don't put small things in your mouth.
You don't put small things in your mouth.
Dice are coming from your hands. Your hands have been so many places. And also, like, we have a pandemic going on. Like,
no.
Candy dice are a thing. There are dice lollipops.
Yes.
If you need to stem, there are chewable dice. Chewable.
Yeah, my favorite. So I have a my favorite STEM site, like that you can get STEM toys and fidget toys from, is called STEMtastic. So I like to tell everybody about it whenever I can. I have so many different fidgets from there, and it goes directly to benefit the autistic person who runs it. So it's an awesome site. So highly
Absolutely.
recommend. So yeah,
See, given the right mold, I can make Jello and cupcake dice. That's what you should put in your mouth.
Do we have to make edible dice for the thing so people stop doing it? Like, I feel like
they said that it's not the same. They're like, it's not. We're not crunching that.
It's not the same texture. Texturally, it's not.
But if you do hard candy, yes, it is. Except it will break your fucking teeth.
You can get isomalt dice.
There are so many options that you're choosing not to see because you want to do this reckless, nonsensical behavior, and I won't allow it. Not on my watch.
Not on my good Christian Minecraft server.
This is the dumbest thing.
I love how you call it Kelsey specifically.
She's going a little quiet, so I'm scared. Like, I'm scared she's going to pop up any second and snap my neck. And then put dye in my mouth.
Kelsey was...
Look.
That sounds like the weirdest episode of Law and Order ever.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Are we suing the dice company when we choke on it or break a tooth?
Well, okay, so we need to tell y'all about we need to tell you about the big capitalist behind these shenanigans. You see, we're in the summer of Abria, and Abria is behind this dastardly plan with her dice company.
Dice Envy.
There it is. I was just about to say that. She's trying to make dice more appealing to people so that they eat them, and we must stop her.
She's trying to weaponize the crunch.
That's how she was able to take over Critical Role and Division 20 and D&D Live all at the same time. Big dice.
Big dice.
Well, she makes them candy scented.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Well,
she
doesn't make them candy scented. She makes them look as much like candy as possible, but she wants to try and implement.
It was the idea to do candy scented. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she must be stopped.
She's got to put.
But how can you stop Abria in the summer of Abria? So
you don't. That's the answer. You don't.
Yeah, you just don't.
You let her live.
There is another question that we ask. And I think this will be the question that takes us to break so we can do human things. And that is, if you could play with 85 people, living or dead. No, just living. Sorry. I made an exclusion one time last week, but it's not happening again. If you could play with 85 people on this earth right now, you don't need to know them. You can just know of them. Who would you pick?
Okay, I'm ready for this. So my table is going to be an all lesbian table. So the players will be the GM will be Kate McKinnon, who has a really great podcast, and I think about like that's like a fantasy podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but I know Cara knows what it is, so she can post it in chat. But yeah, so she'll be GM. I'll play a rogue. And then Miriam Margulies, she played the herbalism professor on the Harry Potter movies. Mm-hmm. And I want her to play a cleric who's just like disappointed in all of us. Because she plays this amazing role on this show, Miss Fisher's Mysteries or something like Modern Mysteries, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, such a good show. Fucking love that show. But yeah, so she plays this like disappointed aunt all the time because her niece is like this major feminist. It's set in the 1920s. It's great. I want Samira Wiley to play a bard. She was Pusey on Orange is the New Black. I want Lily Tomlin to play a druid for obvious reasons. And I want Haley Kiyoko to play a barbarian because I think she would love going ham. And then honorable mention for Hannah Gadsby to come on as a wizard.
Wow. First off, that table is sick. And second, damn, you're prepared.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it because first I was like, oh man, it'd be so fun to play with like all the Star Trek people. So I had to limit myself because otherwise I was gonna like go buck wild. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do an all lesbian table and that will limit my choices. So that helped.
Wow, that's so sadly true.
I mean, my girlfriend says she's a teacher, she do her homework. That is correct.
All right, Reecie.
I'm gonna keep it sweet because I really still don't know. I would love to play a game with my partner because we've never played together. And then also I'm gonna make it sweet again. I really want to play a game with my old group that we just finished our campaign. I really miss them and I miss our Tuesdays together.
How dare people come on this show and make this little ticker work? I'm trying not to feel things.
And they say his heart grew 2 sizes that day.
Well, it went from an extra small to an extra small. Oh, okay. Well, those answers made me like really look at my answers and kind of just shake my head because I always pick silly people or people that make no sense. I would love to play a game with all porn stars. I don't know why. I just think it would be fun.
Wasn't
and funny.
That a thing? There was an all sex worker cast.
Yeah, there? That was a thing, and the person that was attached to that is a horrible person. So we don't talk about that right now.
So Dee had posted something about, I don't remember what, but I was like, Dee, I want you to run a game with all sex workers, and
yes.
Dee is the GM, because if anyone can do it, they can do it. Like, they can do it right.
Oh yeah, she could do it. Totally.
Yeah, she'd nail it. Oh my god, that would be so good though. I didn't know that was already a thing. Of course, it would be done by somebody that's a problematic douchebag because.
Yeah, this person is very litigious, so I'm going to refrain from. Though I have heard that they did shit their pants in a Chick-fil-A parking lot.
We're gonna talk about this during break.
It's a thing.
we are going to talk about I mean, like, it kind of makes sense for a shitty person to shit on themselves at a shitty restaurant.
Yes.
Allegedly.
I like how you're trying to save us from a lawsuit, and I'm trying to get sued. Like, I'm trying to
I don't want to get sued.
Fuck them. What can they take from me? I have nothing.
That's what's funny when people throw a lawsuit at you. Like, where are you gonna get any money out of me?
You get to have the satisfaction
of. What are you gonna do?
Yes.
You can't do it. You have no power here. Sallie Mae already owns my soul.
I'm a millennial. We have nothing. It's our strength at this point.
Accurate.
On that note, do we want to take a quick 10-minute break or so?
Yes, let's go ahead and take ourselves a good 10-minute break so I can actually get coffee in my body, and then we can get to the dark roast, where we'll ask a few more serious questions, and then I think we get 2 that guy stories for the price of 1 today. So I'm very excited. All right. We will talk to y'all in a bit.
See you in a sec. Butts. Welcome back. We're here.
Hello, everybody. I've got coffee, so at least half of my sentences will make sense now. Welcome to the dark roast. All right. Well, it's good to have you all back. I hope everybody had a nice, refreshing break. But now let's get back into grilling the team at TTRPG to find the real answers that they don't want to tell. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't that kind of show.
No.
Where are the bodies hidden? No.
What does he know?
How does he know?
This a that guy thing? No.
Joke's on you. I'm that guy. As you can tell, we're all still feeling pretty high and goofy. Well, not high, but you know it's up. You know it's up.
Well, I've got that real natural extrovert disposition. Like I am an actual extrovert where I get my energy from being with people, and so I have that going on. And that's probably going to last me the rest of the day, even though I literally only got 4 hours of sleep.
How were you during the Panera Bread?
If I didn't live with my partner, I don't know that I would have made it. Like, I had a roommate, and then I moved in with my partner, so that really helped. And I have a dog. But I've been teaching online for the last year.
Just one sec.
They're here. But yeah, it's been rough on my body, but otherwise it's been fine.
I lived in this little Shire hut apartment, so I was going stir crazy. And I truly think it's the TTRPG community that kept me kind of going.
Absolutely.
It's really messed up that our generation has kind of been through so much that, I mean, let's keep it a buck. The Panini's not over. Like, no. Like we're able to see the finish line, kinda, maybe a little bit. But the CDC isn't taking into account people that are already compromised. They're not taking into consideration the disabled who are telling them they need to slow their roll. Yeah. And I'm more inclined to listen to them. But it's kind of amazing in a good and bad way to kind of see how we're able to just shrug off the fact that for a year we had to stay in our houses.
I don't ever want to leave my house anymore. Like, it's like that for me.
Yeah. If I go to the grocery store in the town I live in, people are still wearing masks and that kind of thing. If I go further from Seattle, because I'm not in Seattle, I'm in the suburbs. But if I go even further out, no one's wearing masks, and I know that at least 30% of them are lying about being vaccinated. Yeah. So I'm just like, this is so uncomfortable, and my social anxiety. So I'm an extrovert with social anxiety. So my social anxiety is now through the roof.
Yeah, it's very weird to think about. We've lived through it, and I think we're just trying to move on. But if you really comprehend, if you really think about it, a lot of people have lived their entire lives not going through what we went through last year. think about that. There have been entire generations that didn't have to lock up in the house because of a fucking out of control Parabellum.
I like parallelogram. That's my favorite.
Just explaining this as an 80-year-old grandma to my grandkids what it was like in 2020 and them not believing me.
Well, I mean, think about all the things you're going to be able to tell your grandkids about. You lived through 2 recessions.
I don't want to have to live through that much. It better be good stuff, not just the crazy stuff.
Yeah. I like my grandpa.
That's so rude.
Oh
That's
my God.
like the meanest thing anyone could do on a Saturday. You're like, it's Saturday morning. Where the fuck is my coffee? Like,
oh.
Michael Lane goes,
Feeling
wait,
bad
there's
for
going to
you
be
right
generations after this.
I mean, too real.
Yikes.
But our culture's like ability to like reading comprehension and critical analysis skills aren't great, which is why I got into teaching in the first place. I'm a second career teacher. I was not happy about the 2016 election, and so I went back and got my master's in teaching so that I could start from the bottom. And like my goal was like, okay, I'm gonna protect my students from marginalized populations. I'm going to teach my privileged students not to be assholes. And we're going to teach some critical analysis and reading comprehension skills to these kids, because I think that's something that's really lacking, and empathy. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask this, but I felt like it would be better to ask this during the dark roast, and here we are. So you're a whole ass teacher. So I think that your opinion on this holds more weight than a lot of the bullshit that we hear online, and I would love an informed opinion on what you think about critical race theory.
oh my gosh, now I feel like I'm on a pageant. So again, this comes down to people's reading comprehension and critical analysis skills. They don't know what critical race theory is. And if you're not teaching Eurocentric, white, cis, hetero history, then you are teaching critical race theory. I teach, so my focus this year, so we do expertise model in 5th grade, where I teach in 5th grade. And so we split the subjects and the kids rotate. And so we didn't really do that this year because I was online. But I still prepped all of our social studies lessons. And so my social studies lessons are as decolonized as they can be. Because like in 5th grade, we learn about the indigenous peoples of the United States. And so the different groups, so like the Plains Natives and the Southeast region, and then the Southwest, Northeast region, and all these different things. And so and then we learn that, and then we learn about the early colonization, so the early explorers. And I straight up taught those kids like all the bad sides of all those explorers, and learned something I didn't even know. And that is, so people always throw that whole, well, Christopher Columbus was a product of his time. That's bullshit. He was arrested by the King and Queen of Spain. They did a full investigation. They had a nun from the church go to where he was at and research like the horrible things that he was doing. And so even his contemporaries were like, no, this guy's a prick.
He abandoned his fucking crew.
Well, yeah, and then there's some stuff like I've seen on TikTok where I'm like, if that's real, like there's some bad shit from his journals. But so anyway, so I didn't know that. I knew that there were contemporaries who hated him, but I didn't know that King and Queen in Spain arrested him, had him taken in chains back to Spain, and made him stripped him of all of his titles. And they didn't put him in jail. They sent him back to like Barbados or something, or Hispaniola. But yeah, he fully got arrested. And so my students learned that. And it was great because I had a sub that day, and I was like, oh God. And it was a retired teacher. So I'm like, oh no, like, is she gonna hate this? And she emailed me afterwards and was like, that lesson was awesome. Thank you. I didn't even know that Christopher Columbus had been arrested. I'm like, me neither. And so yeah, the culture of education is slowly changing. We're starting to like we're examining the white supremacy, at least where I'm really lucky because I'm in Washington and it's super blue, and I'm in a pocket of like white liberals who are doing their best, and so I'm really fortunate in that I teach critical race theory. I'm honest with the kids. We have a full comprehensive age appropriate sex education, so that includes all genders and like uses that language, and also teaches the kids that like you can be homosexual or heterosexual, and they don't bring up asexuality, but I did because I don't like that the curriculum says like you might not have sexual feelings until you're an adult, and I was like, you might never have sexual feelings and that's okay too. Yeah. But yeah, so like, and now the entire state of Washington is doing that curriculum, and so yeah, awesome. So I'm really fortunate, and yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No, I talk about this all the time. Like I'm always on my soapbox.
I saw an opportunity to actually get informed information. I had to take it. That is truly interesting about it. I don't know how else to describe it, but I feel like the more I learn about Christopher Columbus,
total trash bag.
The bigger a dick this guy ends up actually
and not
being.
Very bright,
and he never even set foot on. Why do you celebrate Columbus Day? He never set foot on North America.
Yeah, so we don't. The state of Washington does not celebrate Columbus Day,
as you should not.
And so we don't have that day off anymore. But yeah, it's really interesting. I inherited a retired teacher's materials for social studies, and she was way more patriotic than me. I had to go through a lot of that and be like, oh, we're not using this. Oh my God, this is a VHS. Wow.
And can I just say, I truly loved your definition of CRT, which is if you're not teaching from the perspective of
the white patriarchy,
then you're teaching CRT. And it's very I love to just read random shit on my off time, or just I love hearing people who are experts at things talk about it. And it's like the more I learn about actual subjects from people who know about it that aren't trying to make any one person look better, the more I realize everything that I was taught is kind of bullshit.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like, I taught third grade for a bit, and we learned the true history of Harriet Tubman and how she was disabled, and why she was disabled. And all these, she had seizures because of being hit in the head with a brick as a child. And so we learned that. And so I do like a lot of, so I like I said, I'm a disability and LGBTQ advocate for teachers. I actually get paid. My school district pays me to lead, co-lead Teachers with Disabilities group, and LGBTQ teachers group for new teachers that are coming into our district, to help them feel more comfy in the district. And there's been language in our school district's contract since 1994, I think, that protects LGBTQ people, which is also not something that happens everywhere. Like because I went to college in Boise. If I moved back to Boise, I could get fired for being gay.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I'm happy to be in Washington, where I actually get paid well because of my school district where it's at. I'm in the Microsoft area, so I get paid well and I get to teach these things. And when I deal with parents, once they find out I'm gay, they're nicer to me because they don't want to be seen as one of those people. So yeah, that's why I said I'm in white liberal area where it's like they're doing their best.
Can I just hop on that real quick, because when you said they're doing their best, like I felt that because it's just like they're trying, but sometimes they're trying a little too hard.
Yes.
And it's just like, why are you trying so hard?
Right? And I take advantage of that because I don't want to be harassed by parents for being gay and for teaching their kids truth. And so that's been really interesting to deal with. It's like, oh yeah, you're super liberal, but there's a Chick-fil-A in our town that always has a line. Like, fuck you guys. Like, you're not that liberal. But.
Okay, and you know what? Let's get into it, y'all. White people, let's talk. Chick-fil-A. I get it. You think it's good. But it's. Let me. Popeyes. All right.
Yeah.
Just trust us. Look, if there's.
We don't have Popeyes up here.
Not in Seattle. There's like one down in Olympia, where I'm from, but that's one.
You can get a better chicken sandwich at fucking McDonald's if you're being honest. Like, it's not good. It's not good enough. That
love Chick-fil-A like that are like the people that make like their Harry Potter house their personality. Like that's the people that
yes
religiously in Chick-fil-A.
So I have a thing about that, about like people who make their one fandom their entire personality because they can't be critical of that fandom if they do that.
Yeah.
And so you nailed it. That's so real.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining the Highlander logo over my head. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't agree with this at all.
Oh my gosh. I like really want to find a Popeyes now, and I'm a vegetarian.
Look. First off, I didn't know that Popeyes wasn't everywhere. So, and I've been thinking about moving to LA, but now I've got questions. So I need my LA locals to tell me if Popeyes is there, because that might change a few things. Wait, baby, is Popeyes in Canada?
Yes, it is. We have Popeyes here. You've seen me order Popeyes.
Look, I'm scared right now because I didn't know there were places that didn't have Popeyes.
Well,
We just got one not that long ago. It was
there's actually like not a lot of Seattle, like fast food in Seattle. Like there's just not a lot of fast food places in Seattle. The Chick-fil-A's are in like Bellevue and Kirkland, which are suburbs of Seattle. Bellevue is like where all the like super rich corporation people are. And so it's just like, I'm like, yeah, sure, we're in a liberal pocket, but we have 2 Chick-fil-A's that are successfully running. Actually, there's one in Bothell too, which is like, so within like 10 miles of me, there's 3 Chick-fil-A's.
There's also one in North Seattle. I used to work next to the one in Bellevue, and it was ridiculous the way the line actually went into the street, through the intersection, down the street. Like you don't go in that lane because it's literally a part of the Chick-fil-A drive-thru.
There are several reasons why Chick-fil-A should not be out here winning.
Yeah.
One, their chicken is not. Look, I love chicken. Not all stereotypes are bad. All right, and it's not because I'm a black guy. It's because I choose to love chicken. Yeah. All right, and it's not that good. Trust me. And 2, their sweet tea, it's not banging. All right, it's not real sweet tea. You know, sometimes the South does get something right. And then finally, they're not open on Sundays. How disrespectful is that? Don't let them win.
Aside from the fact that we don't want to give them our money for other reasons.
And finally,
go ahead.
They're attacking the LGBT community. That's reason enough not to fucking support anybody.
So I was one of 3 gay employees at my last school, and one of the kindergarten teachers had a student teacher who was bringing in Chick-fil-A cups with her. And I was like, I went to the librarian had a lesbian kid and a trans kid. So she was like a super ally, like the best. I love her. I'm so sad that she moved away. But I went to her and I'm like, I don't want to be the angry lesbian. Will you say something to them, please? And she's like, absolutely. And so there was 2 people that were bringing in Chick-fil-A cups, and she went and told them like what they're about, and she's like, so at the very least, don't bring that here because this is how you're being perceived.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot.
It's ridiculous. Like, you remember that small point in time where like a lot of conservatives were like, take that, gays, and ordering chicken sandwiches. Like, I can't.
Why do y'all think about us that much?
Right?
Like,
That's what you're trying
I've
to
never seen somebody spitefully order a chicken sandwich. Like,
The only thing that really spiders their arteries, let's be honest.
Right? And like, that's the thing that gets me the most is like, why do you think about us that much? Like, why are you so obsessed with me?
us?
Yeah, like, why are you so obsessed with me? Because like, it's so weird because yes, I like got into teaching specifically to combat conservatism, but like, I don't think about them that much. They're not in my world. My world is my students and teaching them. And so I actually, and I want to hire a sensitivity reader to go over it because I didn't have time. They kind of sprung on us that we were doing Black Lives Matter at school week. And so I built the entire lessons for that. And you can always tell which students live in a Fox News home.
Oh no.
Based on their responses. I had one. But yeah, he at the end of that lesson, at the end of that curriculum unit, he fully made a really beautiful Black Lives Matter poster. So like the kids are malleable. So I'm not thinking about his parents. I'm thinking about him.
Yeah.
I'm worried for those kids because it's just come home with a poster. The kid's gonna have a conversation that's gonna suck. I just, and it's the fact that kids it's the fact that kids can choose to be better, and like people are taking that away from them, and that's the thing that upsets me. I've had personal experiences where like I had friendships with people that soured once I met their parents, and that always sucks. And it's just like our natural instinct are to be friends.
And it's some of those parents, like, even if after you've met them, they tell their kids to not hang out with you anymore because of whatever marginalized part you are. Like, I've had some white friends that their parents told me not to hang out with me because I was Black.
And I think that is an experience that is unique to the marginalized. Because like as I was telling the story, I can see you recall the moment where it was just like the first time that happened to you, and it does suck. And I think the parts of me that believe in people often harkens back to that time where it was just, I met this other person, and before we knew what the world wants us to think about each other, we just knew each other, and we got on just fine. But it was when all that bullshit that was introduced, it wasn't, Noir talking with this person anymore. It's this person talking to a Black guy, and then it just went to shit. So that's blah.
I get that. I got that from being openly queer. So that like friends that didn't want to hang out with me anymore because they thought that I mean, granted, I did have a crush on my best friend growing up. Didn't know that that's what that was, but like I was fully obsessed with her. And so it's having like I think it's a universal experience for marginalized groups of being othered. I also got it for being poor.
That's a thing.
So but that's why I like to tell people positive stories about my students for that reason, because I think that people in our generation, it's really important to know that the kids are all right. So like I had a openly trans student who the kids all knew already, and so when he was posting on Teams, because we used Microsoft Teams for our classrooms. He was posting on Teams with his new name, and everyone's like, "Who are you? Like, are you new to our school?" And he was like, "No, you guys knew me as blah 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 last year. I'm a boy now." And all the kids were just like, "Oh, okay," and then like moved on, and just kept like talking to him anyway, and didn't care. And to non-binary students, like I have one student who I taught the gender stereotypes lesson after the family lesson where they talk about like there are gay families, and then I taught the gender stereotypes lesson, and then the very next morning my student reached out to me and was like, and this is a student who already had a PAN flag as their background, that said, "Let's get one thing straight, I'm not." It was so cute. I screenshotted it without their name in it and like sent it out to all my friends and coworkers because it was so cute. But so the day after that gender stereotypes lesson, they reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I want to start using they them pronouns." And I was like, "Awesome. I'm so proud of you for living openly. Like, please let me know how I can help you other than using the correct pronouns." And they never like emailed me back after that, but they started answering questions in class way more often. And so like when people stifle their kids because they're queer, they stifle them in all areas.
Yeah.
And so I love telling those stories because it makes queer people feel like, oh yeah, it's getting better. And yes, again, I'm in Washington, so it's not the same as everywhere else, but those kids are going to be, they're our future. And so like Gen Z and younger, they're cool. They're like, fuck gender, fuck orientation. Like, we're just gonna live like who we are. The world's burning. We may as well just be ourselves.
Yeah,
exactly. And one other reason that I'm so glad that we have teachers like you that are just, that's making sure that everybody is being represented and everybody is being taught about everybody else, is because the Black community has a lot of work to do when it comes to dealing with how we treat our LGBTQA plus family. I can tell you that my education on it growing up was lacking, to say the word. And so I even to this day, especially like even on the show, you'll see like I'll often go like, I didn't know that, or like just trying to learn. And the more I learn, the easier it is to like understand and admire a lot of the things that I figure out. Like I'm ashamed to admit it, but I only learned about Ace Arrow individuals in the last year and a half. When I met I'm not even gonna say when I met a lot of Ace Arrow people, but when I realized that the people around me were Ace Arrow, and the fact that I had these people around in my life and I missed such a big part of who they were, like I literally couldn't see it, was disturbing. So like I am very happy that it is becoming so present and so like fought for is the word that I'm going to say, because it should be fought for, because nobody should have any part of their identity ignored.
Right. And that's why when Reecie and I posted about Pride Month, we wanted to make sure to say, like, as cisgender femme, like I pass for straight, like I have passing privilege, which isn't always a privilege, but because of that, I can move through the world, and my students of color can't do that. They don't have that pass. They don't have that pass. But we made sure to say, like, we want to fight for the people who experience marginalizations that we do not.
Yeah.
And so that's like my entire, like, I think that's become my entire personality in the last like 5 years, if I'm being honest.
No, I completely, I love everything that's happening. And like, I love that the community is coming together, and it took a while for me to like really, I sat back this Pride Month and I just watched and I listened, and I tried to learn. And one message kind of became clear throughout all the things that I was reading and all the things that my LGBTQA plus family was selling me, which is it's so simple, but it's like so hard to like get, which is there is no default. There is no default race. There is no default gender. There is no default preference. Like, we live in a world where if you read about a protagonist and they don't mention anything about the protagonist, you probably think that they're a straight white male. Yeah. Because that is what we've been taught is the default. And that is not true. That's why it's the rainbow, because stop defaulting into one color. It could be anything. People can be anything. And once we start to accept that, I think that's when the world becomes a better place. And like, you know, on one side of it, I'm Black, so I'm just like, well, of course there's no default race. But then like the other side of my brain is just like, you're a cis-het dude. So when you read a character or you play a video game character, what do you think? And I'm thinking Black cis-het.
I remember there was like a little like PSA style campaign thing going on that John Cena did, where he was like, I think it was John Cena. It was somebody like that. One of those big mask like cisgender white dudes that just was like, I shouldn't say white because it might have been The Rock. But anyway, it was one of those big beefy guys, and was like said like picture an American in your head, and if you pictured a white man or a straight white man or something like that, you're not picturing America. And I was like, I felt like that was the first time that I went, oh, because I was doing that too. And I think like we've all been cultured to do that. We've all been socialized to do that.
But there is a want for that not to be a thing too. Like, I'm even thinking when I'm like creating my characters in The Sims, because that's like my favorite video game. I make all the characters to look like me because I don't feel like there's enough people that look like me in the world. So.
When there's a whole spectrum of colors, why are you going to choose beige?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think one of the reasons that the TTRPG community in particular is so vocal is because all we do is tell stories. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's not too much of a leap to say that we have all seen straight white guy saves the world. We have grown up seeing it. It's been in our cartoons, our action movies, our dramas, everything. We have seen straight white guy saves the world. Wait, we have seen straight white guy saves the world against the girl. Yep. And I think as people that are fans of stories, we're sick of it. And like a straight white guy can also be like straight white guy that's an orc. Like we know it's still Chad with green skin. Like, but I think we're at the point right now where we want different heroes. We want different villains. We want different stories because you can only see straight white guy saves the world so many times. Like literally name a movie and it's probably straight white guy saves the world with, okay, here we go. Straight white guy saves the world with colorful companions. Like we have seen that.
We were having this conversation the other day. We started watching the first episode of The Magicians. And neither one of us were really into it. And I'm like, you know what? I've seen misunderstood white guy get superpowers enough times.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is.
Like, and I think that's why, like, they're the kind of shows that I like are things like Sense8, which is still straight white guy saves the world. But it's not, he has to share that protagonist spots in equal part with, you know, a trans woman and you know, and with an African and with, you know, a South Korean businesswoman who's a kick-ass fighter. It's just I want other stories, and I think the rest of us do too, because we're done with the default.
Yeah.
So, I think that moves
Speaking
us.
of cis white men, 90 times out of 10.
That's so mean. that is such a mean segue. Accurate.
But both of my stories are about white people.
It's an accurate segue, but it's mean.
But is it wrong, though?
It's like that TikTok. The joke is funny, but it's a good joke. But you gotta stop.
You gotta stop. I'm gonna need you to stop anyway.
I love that sound. That'll bring us to our That Guy segment. For those unfamiliar, if you've been in the TTRPG space long enough, you've probably had the unpleasant experience of playing at a table with a That Guy. You can tell that you're at a table with a That Guy because they are a black hole of fun at the table. Someone who, if they were yeeted into the sun, your experience at the table would be increased exponentially. Previous That Guys that we've experienced on this show are as small and annoying as the puppeteer, a DM who really should have been an author because they just want characters to do what they want to do, or as problematic and severe as somebody who invites a player over on the basis of helping them make a character, only to bite them on the neck and pretend that it didn't happen. That's pretty fucked up. So, that being our intro here, I have to ask you, TTRPG, have you experienced That Guy?
Of course. We're women in gaming.
I hate that that's true.
The end.
I mean, we wouldn't even have our show if there wasn't a That Guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to not to have like a terrible experience or anything, but I can call it out when I see it. I used to work for a game store, both in person and over the phone customer service. And at least once a week, one of my customers we sell magic cards. So one of these customers like, here's this girly voice, and they're like, do you even play? And I'm like, yeah, I sure do. And that actually changes their mind about me, I guess, to a point where then they start nerding out with me about different cards and asking me what my strategy is and what my favorite colors are to play with are, and like.
But then you realize that that's almost a test.
It was a test too, and so I'm like, what if I lied and said no? That could have changed how that man treated me.
It would have shortened the conversation.
Oh, yeah. Or they would have asked me to transfer to someone else.
So, I also have a theory on what that is, if I may.
Go for it.
I think, and this isn't any better. This is, wait, you're a girl, and you like this thing that I like? That means there's a chance.
I know, and that's the thing. That's kind of the worst part, is, the whole male gaze that goes into women in gaming as well. Like, I do feel like some of the people that follow me on Twitter are just like, I want to see this girl do game things.
Thirst following.
Thirst follows.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because like I think it's different for people who are assigned female at birth but don't present femme. So like my girlfriend didn't understand why I find it super uncomfortable to be in a room with a bunch of straight men, because they treat her like one of the guys because she's mask or andro mask, and so and that was a really interesting she said me, a tomboy in college for engineering, before she didn't know she was queer, but yeah, so like her experience was way different than my experience with straight men, and And so that will cause that, guys, already. And so I didn't realize how much this was pervasive until I realized all of the characters I was playing in TTRPGs were butch lesbians who fucking hated men. Because I was like, the GM is not going to flirt with me. I'm shutting that down here. And that was before I came out. I didn't come out until my 30s. So like that was before I came out. I was playing queer women who hated men and wanted nothing to do with them because I didn't want the GM to flirt with me. Because it was uncomfortable. And so my that guys as a player are just like GMs crossing lines that they shouldn't cross, which is why I became a GM. My that guys to tell you about are from me being a GM, and the one was before I started doing online GMing. And that one was he didn't want to tell me that he wasn't interested in playing in my campaign anymore because we were starting a new campaign. He didn't want to tell me he wasn't interested, so he started being an asshole instead of just saying like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Like I have other things I want to focus on. And so he decided he was going to play a Kenku character, and but took it as an opportunity to have his character just shit all over a tavern like a bird would. And I was like, and then I do natural consequences as a GM, and so the natural consequence for that is that you get kicked out of the tavern and the city guard come and arrest you for disturbing the peace. Yeah. And he didn't like that either. And the other players were just like horrified because it was uncomfortable for them too, because they're my friends and they're like, why is he acting like this? And I honestly believe it's because he didn't want to play anymore and just was being a douchebag about it.
What? Why can't people just be adults? Like,
right? I think that's a neurodivergent thing where like, I just want people to just tell me, like, just be honest and be straightforward. And I've realized that like nine times out of 10, that's not what I'm going to get from people, and they don't like it from me either. Which is why I end up surrounding myself with like neurodivergent queer people. And then the other person was during a paid game, which is an interesting like dynamic of like, oh well, they paid me and so they think they can just walk all over me. But my thing is like, yeah, you paid me for this game, but if you make me uncomfortable or you're acting like an asshole, I'm gonna kick you out. And I had to mute this person multiple times because they were talking over everyone else. They wanted to derail the entire mission to do something else. My girlfriend was playing in that session, and this player wanted to use like charm person on her because she said no, her character said no, and he wanted to use charm person on her to get her to cooperate.
That's a immediate kick from the table.
Yep. Yeah, and I was like, that's a no for me, dog. Like, we don't play that. And it was a one shot, thankfully. And that player was told they could never come back to our community, which is also good. But that was the longest 3 hours I've ever had in my life. Like, I was exhausted. And I'm not always exhausted after I GM. Sometimes I'm like energized because the players are so fun and they bring me such joy. But that one, I like slept for like 10 hours after the game. So yeah, it was a lot.
Like, I'm sorry, I was just listening to all of that.
Bad behavior. Bad behavior.
I forgot about that. So Carr just reminded us. He also wanted to meet with the players without me present, so that because he had an idea, and
yeah, that's gonna be a no.
Yeah, I can't remember what the idea was. It was like going to derail the entire. I mean, in a one shot, I do like keep it on the rails in a one shot, right, because this is not. It's not a sandbox game when you're doing a one shot. And they were solving a mystery. It was a murder mystery set in high school. And this kid was like 19 and a theater kid, which did not surprise me at the end of like just the show stealing and the ridiculousness. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to say no. You're not going to meet without me, first of all, because I'm protecting my other players. I'm also going to say no to you trying to charm person my partner. That's also a no. Even if she wasn't my partner, I'm going to say no to that. We don't do that with other player characters. He had an entire different agenda that was completely separate from like what we were doing and why we were there. And I'm like, now I understand why you don't have a home group. Like, now I understand why no one wants to play with you.
You had to pay.
Yeah. And I'm not, you know, and as like a queer femme person, I understand paying my GMs because I'm like, I will pay to play, like I would pay to play with y'all. I would pay to play with D, like people I trust, because I know that I'm not going to be sexualized if I don't want to. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been sexualized by GMs before that were also femme, and it was totally fun because I was playing like a fuckboy bard and I was okay with that. And we talked about it behind the scenes. But like, yeah. So I understand like why some of us do need to pay to play, to feel safe. But that was not why he needed to pay to play.
Yeah. Oh no.
He needed to play because no one wanted to play with him.
Yeah, that's... as soon as you told me that he tried to charm somebody into obeying him, because that's what it is. It's you're making someone obey you, and I really want everybody to like marinate on that sentence for a bit. Like it's fucked up. It's really like one of the conversations that I love having with my GM friends is just like, what really is the most insidious school of magic? And I think everybody agrees it's enchantment, hands down. Necromancy seems like the most evil, haha, moo, haha, finger of death, I raise the dead, but like ultimately, I would much rather somebody Avada Kedavra me out of existence than to
subverts your will.
Like, just think about something small, somebody forcing you to like something that you don't like that's small. Like let's say you don't like mustard on your sandwich. Imagine somebody going, you like mustard on your sandwich because I said so. Like that, even something that small is so degrading and dehumanizing that it's just like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck that guy.
I'm okay with enchantment, and if like you're playing a bard and you want to make your performance extra special and people love it even more, that's fine. Like, you know, charming a crowd into thinking your performance is more beautiful than you did, like you rolled low or something, that's fine with me. I'm okay with that kind of thing. But when you're trying to charm a character to do your bidding, that's not okay with me.
Yeah.
And I agree completely. And like, I still allow things like charm person and suggestion in my world, but they have consequences. Like,
oh yeah,
you really gotta chew on what you just did. Because like, I'm a firm believer in the fact that we are the choices that we make. You know, you are.
Oh yeah, fuck that whole my character would do that. Well, you made your character.
Yes.
So
don't come to my table going, well, that's what our character would do.
I'm like, and that's why. So when Reecie was like, some people get magic and it's bad, like they are people who shouldn't have it. Those people that play D&D so that they can play out their fantasies of being the big bad asshole.
Yeah.
I never like those are the people you never want to get magic.
It's that's what my character would douche.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, when I think
write it down.
I think we've already coined that one a couple episodes a while ago.
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking of using it with an NPC, not towards somebody directly in the group. Like, you shouldn't be... This is about an adventure that you're trying to get through to the end, not trying to insert yourself into the different people in your group. You're supposed to be together on this.
Yeah. This is a group shared narrative experience.
Mm-hmm.
It is not for you to be the star of the show, for you to push your own plot and your own agenda.
Yeah.
Because, Also, that guy was supposed to be playing a paladin car? What?
Yeah. It was bad. It was really bad. And, like, threatened to not heal them if they didn't cooperate with his plans.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had a cleric once that charged his team to, like, if they had to he was playing like a super religious cleric that would, like, charge you a tithe if they had to heal you.
I mean,
That was funny. Like, that was funny. But, like, it would, like, put, like, give them a bill and be like, you owe me. Like, that was hilarious to me, and I was really close to that person, and so I was okay. Like, that was funny to me, but, like, this was not funny. It was uncomfortable.
yeah.
And, like, somebody said it a long time ago, and I agree. Like, my power fantasy is being able to help my friends.
Yeah.
My power fantasy isn't taking advantage of my friends.
Oh God, this reminds me of the that guy story of my own that I tucked back way back.
It's in your lizard brain somewhere.
Yeah. It's the healing thing in particular that reminded me of this. This was a person that got kicked out of my world. Their character got erased. I call him the creepy healer.
Oh no.
I already don't like where this is going.
It's exactly what you think it is. So I lay on hands, right? Okay, get the fuck off of my table. I don't know. No.
Healing is a touch spell.
Yep, that's the yep.
I gotta touch them to cure wounds, right?
Yeah,
why?
Reecie, you haven't
Why
gotten
are we
killed.
like this?
If I were to play a cleric, I think my next cleric is going to use this as a character concept, sort of riffing off that idea of instead of sending them a bill, it's going to be like one of those street performers where it's like, tips are my wage. Tips are always appreciated. Don't forget to tip your cleric.
I want to play a cleric who has, like, mom energy, where she's just like her buffs are all, like, snacks and, like, sandwiches. And
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
I brought you kids orange slices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you is my bless. Like, Reecie, do you have that guy story? We've been sharing a lot of ours.
Not at the table or anything. Within the community, yes. I was the lucky one to be able to escape being sexually assaulted by a game developer in the TTRPG community.
So you're, like, saying in a real life, this is like a real life example, not a in-game example.
This is real life example. Only to find out that guy got outed by somebody else that was a victim and thankfully got canceled, at least from the internet. But it's like, there are some really, really shitty white dudes out there that are predators on people in the community, and I just happen to be the lucky one to get away.
You know, and I'm gonna hop in and say that it's not just the white guys out there. There are a lot of and don't ever let a straight black dude use his blackness to protect himself from being called out for what he's done. I want to make that very clear.
Well, that person was local to me, which it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no for me, bud.
Yeah, there are some.
And straight white women too, honestly. Like, like, straight white women can't be trusted. I saw a really interesting TikTok yesterday. Was an older white woman who said that white women are the biggest obstacle to ending white supremacy because they are the ones who are teaching their children.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo,
correct.
Yes. And it's like 86% of teachers are white. And so it's like, it's the teachers and the moms that are, like, most likely going to be teaching their kids their values. And they want to side with what gives them power rather than what marginalizes them. And so white supremacy works for them because that's where they get their power from.
Yes.
And so they pass that on to their kids. And I'm just like, yeah, that's accurate. And that's why I am a loud, angry lesbian at work, because I'm like, fuck that. That's a no for me. But yeah, it's straight white women too.
Yeah. You know, I think ultimately what we're trying to say is that if somebody makes you uncomfortable or if somebody crosses your boundaries, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what banner, flag, or ideology that they stand behind. You and your agency should be respected, and don't hesitate for a second to call somebody out on their shit.
Yeah.
Correct.
And, you know, I will say that it hurts. It hurts when you find out that, you know, like somebody in the space that, you know, like just last year we had a predominant black man in the space who had rose pretty high. We discovered some very problematic shit with him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that it hurt because there's not a lot of us in the space.
Yeah.
And, you know, he reached the level that I personally aspire to reach one day.
Mm-hmm.
And it always hurts to watch them fall, but they should.
People should be held accountable.
There should be no quarter for people who can't respect boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's that. And yeah, so I mean, that's not anything that should be new. Mm-hmm. But if you are like, you know, we've got to stick together no matter what, then that's a problem. You know,
and that's part of that whole, like, having one fandom as your entire personality is that like if you do that kind of stuff, if you can't like, just don't have heroes. Like, basically I've been saying, like, somebody had said that one time, like, we just shouldn't idolize people, and I was like, you're right, we shouldn't, because then we get very disappointed, and at
the end of the day, people are people.
Right. And then, or we do cognitive dissonance where that doesn't exist. Yeah. That thing they did doesn't exist because I can't reconcile the fact that I was a fan of theirs, or I am a fan of theirs, or their media, and with the fact that they did that horrible thing.
I have to say, I've done stand-up in Chicago for a while now, and I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy. I was raised on it. I live and breathe stand-up. It is my favorite thing ever. It makes me happy because it's a form of storytelling that has one goal, which is to make you laugh. And who doesn't like laughing? And for a while there, Louis C.K. was one of my favorites. You know, I loved his style.
Yeah.
And when everything came out about him, it was very weird to see a lot of my stand-up friends who, like, do stand-up and, like, you know, aspire to it, get defensive on his behalf. I understand the instinct, but when you think about it, when you sit back and think about it, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Just because the guy can tell a good story does not mean that there are other parts of him that you don't know and that you that can't do this, you know? So it's just like, I understand exactly what you mean, Nikki. It's just like, you gotta understand that people are much more than what they present, because nobody's gonna present the dark shit, you know?
That's the thing, is social media trains us to show the best portions of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and there are parts of us that there are parts of each person that can be improved. You know, anybody that tells you, like, I've got it all figured out is full of shit. Anybody that tells you that I don't do anything problematic ever is full of shit. But it's all about being willing to learn and grow. I can tell you that there are times where my friends have had to pull me aside and go, "That's not cool." And you've got two choices at that point. You could go, "Fuck you, this is how I've always done it and I'm comfortable doing it that way, so I'm just gonna keep doing it." Or you could go, "Shit, can you tell me why that's bad?" And then listen and grow.
Yeah, I said something ignorant to a Black woman, and she called me on it, and I said thank you. Like thank you for trusting, like for telling me that what I just said was ignorant. And like I apologize. I was like, thank you for telling me. I'm sorry, that won't happen again. Because I grew up in rural California. Like half the town was Latinx, mostly from Mexico. Half the town, like the other half of the town, was Portuguese, which is white, like me. My family's Portuguese, and there was literally one Black family in our town, and so it's uneducated. Like I'm uneducated. I was uneducated in a lot of things in Black culture. And then I moved to Boise, Idaho, which is very white.
I'm sorry.
There's an LDS temple on every corner. And so it's just like, there was a lot of spots. There's a lot of things I don't know.
There's blind spots. Yeah.
And so I try to, so I made a point of like following people on social media that have different marginalizations than I do, because that's the best way to learn, is by seeing what they talk about. And that's how I learned about asexuality. That's how I learned about non-binary. That's how I learned that things I was saying or doing were offensive. And that goes back to that, like, being able to be wrong thing. Yeah. Where like if you feel like you cannot be wrong, because if you're wrong, you're seen as weak or unintelligent or an asshole and all these different things. It's that white fragility of like, I can't be wrong because it breaks my system. It breaks my self-esteem. And so that's like, if I could teach the world one thing, it would be how to be wrong. Because if you're comfortable with being wrong, when somebody calls you out for being ignorant or racist or transphobic or homophobic or any of those things, you can say thank you.
Yeah, and be willing to learn after that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself, I've definitely been the only Black person in most rooms in my entire life growing up. Washington is not that diverse. And I went to private school, so I'm constantly learning different things about, about being a part of these marginalized groups, because I was raised in somewhat of a privilege as well. And I've said some dumb things. I didn't mean it or believe it, but I have to learn how to speak to people coming from an area where I didn't have any experience.
Absolutely. I find it truly interesting. In the example you gave, you said something either to a Black woman. In the example that I gave, I didn't mention what it was that I did, but I said something ignorant and hurtful to an LGBTQA plus friend of mine. And again, it's because I'm not making excuses, but we have a lot of work to do in our culture with how we relate to that culture. And I relate very much to this was always how I thought, and so I went in with what I've always known, not knowing how ill prepared I was to communicate with somebody of that culture. And I think that we're getting to a good spot where we're all able to go, I'm ignorant on this, help.
Yes.
I think one of the things that I like, if you could teach the world something, you would teach them to be wrong. I think if I could teach the world something, it would be to know when there's an opportunity to teach versus when you're being attacked. Sometimes some people just need to be pulled aside and to be talked to. Some people are too far gone. I understand that.
And sometimes I don't have the spoons. So even if it is a teachable moment, if I don't have the spoons, like, then it's not a conversation for me. The books exist, the social media activists exist. Like, I don't have time to teach you everything. Because sometimes we run out of spoons. And so I've always made it a thing of like, I don't find this thing offensive, but I'm not going to tell a person who experiences a marginalization that I do not how to feel about something.
Absolutely right. And I was just about to say, hearing about my experience and your experience, it gives me an extra level of respect for our Black members of the LGBTQA plus community, because they're getting it from both sides.
Yeah.
And I just there is a level there that I can't imagine how I can't imagine every part of my identity attracting ignorance.
Right.
You know, I guess
it's all about intersectionality, right? Like, there's people who experience multiple marginalizations, and those obstacles carry them into their lives and their daily lives. So
sorry, I just saw the car say just knives left, motherfucker.
Well, that's actually, and that's our shorthand. So like yesterday I didn't feel good. I took a Benadryl too late at night, and like felt crappy all day yesterday. And so my shorthand for like, when you come home, don't talk to me because I'm grumpy, is like, I'm all out of spoons. There's only knives and forks left. And so she knows, like, coming home, I'm gonna be grumpy as fuck. Maybe she'll stop and buy me food. Like, but yeah.
I'm telling y'all, if you sold a shirt that was out of spoons, just knives,
I think there is.
I would buy it.
Like, go on Etsy. There's all kinds of that stuff, and it's great.
But we are thinking about getting merch, so be on the lookout.
Get merch. Do it. I highly recommend it. Do it.
Speaking of,
we have merch. Buy our merch.
Buy our merch. Help me pay rent, because I don't have a job. This is my job.
So, I'm still tickled at no spoons, just knives.
There is the expanded cutlery theory.
Oh, there's more to it?
Oh yeah, because spoons are, you're able to complete the tasks, but you only have a certain amount of spoons. Forks are, you can do the task, but it's going to cost you. And knives are actively doing this task is going to harm me.
Ooh. Okay. Oof. That's yikes.
Yeah. Continuing down this path and actively continuing this task is going to harm me. So knives.
So speaking of spoons, if you could have one cantrip and one spell of any level, what would you pick?
I wrote it down because it's hard for me to pronounce it. But if it was a spell, it would be prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation, yep.
But
it took me years to get that.
Prestidigitation.
I was just thinking that, like, and this is just like a spell that could help me in real life. Not even thinking about gameplay, but like, sounds like this would make it to where I wouldn't have to do my own makeup anymore.
Here's the deal with prestidigitation. I think it's the most underrated. It's the most underrated spell, and it's perfect for a neurodivergent person.
Yes. Because
it is a harmless sensory effect. So you can literally prestidigitate to make the texture and the taste of a food change.
Oh my gosh. I'm such a sensory processing person.
Could you imagine eating the chicken nugget and making it taste like a perfect steak? Oh,
I could eat chicken that tasted like steak and didn't upset my stomach because I can't.
Exactly. I was thinking like being able to eat things without it making you feel sick.
Like if you're a person with like sensory eating things, like you don't like the textures of certain things or the taste of certain things turn you off, prestidigitation is the perfect spell for you, because you can make the bland food that you can eat taste delicious.
Exactly. Like, since I'm a vegetarian, that I used to eat meat, and sometimes I do if I feel like I need to. But this fake meat, you can eat it every day and pretend like it's a burger, but it's never going to taste like that. If I can just eat my vegan meat and it tastes like a steak, that would be a spell worth having.
If I could make tofu not make me want to like spit it right out, like I can't eat tofu, I can't eat tempeh. I can't. I have a mild allergy to eggs, so I can't eat eggs. So like, vegetarian diet was really rough on me. I can't have dairy.
Oh gosh.
So I was like, okay, I can't be. I was a vegan for a while, and it didn't work out for me because I can't eat tofu. It grosses me out, and I can't eat the texture of fake meat grosses me out so badly that I would feel sick eating it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you could literally just eat tofu forever and make it taste like whatever you want. Oh,
you would save so much money too.
That's true.
For real. Oh my god. Y'all are really bringing me over to prestidigitation, because like then like if you like showers would just be a luxury thing, because you could just go, you know what? I'm clean now. Oh my god.
Okay, so I'm super gross and I hate showering. Like it's another one of those sensory things. Like I don't like it.
I don't want to get wet.
Yeah. Then I don't want to get back out. I don't like. I'm fine while I'm in there, but getting back out is rough.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I was thinking mending. Like I was thinking of like what would I use in a classroom, and like mending would be cool. Friends would be cool because it's not quite charm person, but it is like.
But then they're mad at you afterwards. Is the thing.
That's true, but like an hour. That's a good point. But I did settle on prestidigitation because I like looking like this, but it does take a lot of effort. And I think that being able to prestidigitate would also and also I know how to say that word because of Sword in the Stone.
Yes. Would thaumaturgy be a good one for the teacher voice?
I was a theater kid, so I naturally have teacher voice. And it was really funny when you use teacher voice in a room full of adults. Or if you do this, there's a hand motion that you do. If you put your hand straight in the air like this with your hand open, most adults, our age and younger, will stop talking. Like they'll just stop because they know.
Damn, we've been conditioned.
Yeah. And so, so teacher voice I already have. One time I was at a con and I heard a person walking behind me, and the dad was like, stop running at his like 4-year-old. And I went, walking feet. And the kid just stopped right where they were. And I was like, sorry, teacher, like you got to tell them what to do, not what not to do. And so if you yell walking feet at a child who's running, they will start walking instead of running.
Oh my god, you have child control.
Basically, that's my real life cantrip.
You don't
control child.
Well, it's kind of like charm monster.
But you don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say that the spell I would want is definitely teleportation. Because I've got family that lives all over the place. The worst part of travel is the flight.
Yeah.
I don't like driving. So I teleport it, or like if I'm in a bad situation, I can get the fuck out of there. So yeah, as a person with social anxiety and anxiety in general, like teleportation would be fucking cool.
Yeah, I would love that. Like, especially for my pageant work, because I actually live in Seattle, which is about an hour and a half from where my program that I work with is. And when it gets to be busy season, I have to go down there every week. Sometimes with traffic, it takes even longer. And I hate driving. I'm scared. I have anxiety. I don't want to be behind the wheel of a car.
You,
I mean,
Um,
I think I
per
can survive.
capita,
I've survived all these years, but still.
per capita,
Anything can
Seattle and Bellevue has one of the highest accident rates.
Yes.
Because people don't know how to, like, people drive super aggressively and don't know how to drive. So it's like a lot of new drivers and a lot of people who don't want to let you in, who want to
Plenty of
get
people
around
that
you.
don't drive very often because there's not really a lot of options if you live in Seattle to park.
Parking is the worst here.
Yeah.
I will decline offers to hang out in Seattle unless I can take a bus there because I do not want to park in Seattle. It's so bad.
You know what's really sad is that, like, when we ask this question, most people say teleport, and I just think it's because our infrastructure in America is so trash that this is the only way that we can imagine moving conveniently. like just imagine if our country wasn't ass fucking backwards and we had high-speed rail like every other modern society, where we could go from like Chicago to New York in 2 hours. Like, it just, I fucking hate this country. And also the other thing I was thinking is just like, you know how in cons, there's the cosplay medic that has all the sewing stuff. If I had prestidigitation, I would be like the cosplay cleaner, and I would just be able to find funky boys at cons and just hit them with some prestidigitation.
Yes.
And then they don't stink
I
at
need that
cons
for me
anymore.
because I sweat so much. I am like the sweatiest person. And so when I cosplay, I try to cosplay characters that I can wear as little clothing as possible when I'm at cons. So like my favorite, most comfortable cosplay was when I was Amethyst from Steven Universe. Like, other than the wig, that was the comfiest cosplay because it was a tank top and leggings. But yeah, Seattle, for the amount of money Seattle has and the amount of like long-term, like Seattle's existed for a really long time, our infrastructure is bad. Like, we're just now gonna get like a light rail and it's not gonna be ready till like 2032.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you have like the
you're right.
monorail in downtown Seattle, but that's about
And
it.
they're expanding that. Like, that goes from downtown to like the airport, and they're expanding that to go all the way up to Everett, which will be cool. But until then, like, it's just bad.
Yes, we're just having to deal with all the construction around it. I like wrote my college term paper, 12 pages about the terrible infrastructure of Seattle when it comes to housing crisis, homelessness, transportation, and the ability to find quality work. So I have strong feelings. I mean, I should have just left and not lived here anymore, but there are reasons why I don't want to.
Right? Like, I think about, like, I look sometimes when I'm sad, and I shouldn't do it because it makes me sadder. I look at houses like for purchase back in Boise or where I grew up, and I'm like, ugh, but I can't. That's a privilege that white cishet people don't realize they have, is they can move to places that are cheaper to live. In my neighborhood, a house with 3 bedrooms goes for like $900,000 to start.
Like, could you imagine if for 1 year we took our military budget and spent it on housing and infrastructure?
Yes.
Just 1 year of the military budget into actually fixing this place up.
The worst part about the military budget is the majority of it doesn't even go to the military members. I fully saw a woman who is a military wife pull out her food stamps card at a grocery store on base because they don't get paid enough. That money goes towards research and development. Like, they're spending millions of dollars on things that don't fucking work.
Yep.
Just because they want to try to get ahead of everyone else. And I'm like, bro.
You know what? We don't even have fucking Gundams yet, so it's not worth it. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. That came from
That was in a deep
part
hearted
of me.
Yes, I felt that.
We don't have an Iron Man suit or Gundams and we got all these billionaires and not one Batman. We need to switch it up.
That came from your chest.
Yes. Yes.
Baby.
Holding it.
Was it last week that y'all were talking about Batman, if Batman was black, or that Batman should have been black? I was thinking about that. Like, it just would make so much sense about like how Batman doesn't kill people. Because it's like, you know, if Batman was black, he'd see too many of people from his community cut down at a young age. And so I was like, yes, that's that. But DC would never.
DC doesn't have the stones in Marvel. Marvel's comfortable right where they are. You know what? That's fine. What are we spending all this money on? More jets? We've got great jets.
Yes, that's actually exactly what the money is being spent on. Is better jets.
But Gundams, man.
And so my brother's in the Navy, and it's just like they don't pay the people. Like, I'm not pro-military, but I am. But I do believe like they're treated like numbers, like they're treated like units. And that's not okay. Like, I'm pro-veteran, but I'm not pro-military, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that I mean, we know America's got some real backwards priorities. If we took the military budget, split it in thirds, education, housing, and infrastructure, like we could be the most educated, richest country if we did those things. But unfortunately, the greediest people at the top don't want everybody to be okay, because that's how they get even richer. And so like this country just it'll never happen. I have no hope for the United States.
So there's a TikTok sound going around like, what's a conspiracy theory that you believe? And I believe that the reason that our country has turned into the crumbling fuckhole that it is because it's no longer acceptable to just outright fuck Black people and LGBTQA plus people and you know, anybody that's not a white guy. So they're just like, well, fuck the poor in general. and you know, before they would let the country be okay for straight white guys. Even the fuck ups among the straight white guys, but now it's just like, well, we've got to lump you in with everybody else. And mediocre white guys have been treated so well for so long that they think that a rescue boat's coming, not realizing that they've officially been lumped with the rest of us. Yeah. They're still looking down on us, not realizing that they're sinking too.
And so like, if someone's like, why are white men like this? And it's like, they haven't been told no enough.
Yep.
They haven't been told they're not funny often enough. And I'm like, how shitty of a white dude do you have to be to not be successful in a country that caters to you?
Right.
I think we see, like, I think the fuck it, we're getting into it now. I think that the TTRPG space is a perfect microcosm of that. Yes. And that's why we have people like Mini Gygax that's just like, I don't understand what's going on. All these people are fucking, they want to hold me accountable. It's just like
the best example. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The best example I think of, other than that, because that was extremely atrocious, but like a really good example of, you're just insufferable, and that's why, is the guy who was like, if people won't drink with you while they're networking, don't like work with them.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I was like, one, that's super predatory and weird, but two, do you have to drink do people around you have to drink to find you like palatable? to be tolerable? Thank you, that was the word I was looking for. I was like, he either has a drinking problem, which he should get help for, or he is so insufferable that he knows that people will not hang out with him unless they've been drinking.
Will not hang out with him unless they're...
Okay, so I have a theory about that. Right, here's what my theory about that is. I believe that one of the most insightful TV shows I've ever watched was Mad Men. And I believe that in the back of every white guy's mind, or every shitty, mediocre white guy's mind, is this power fantasy of Mad Men, where they could kiss their wife goodbye in the morning, smoke a cigarette, have an affair with their secretary, go out for drinks with the boys, have flimsy, meaningless sex with somebody else, and then come back home to their wife, who will just shut up and take care of their kids and have dinner ready. Like,
and
I think
presentable at all times.
But
Yes.
they miss the point of how problematic Don Draper is.
Oh, and they all think they are Dawn, but they're all Pete's.
Mm.
but it's that Don Draper mentality that I think, and that's why, we're going to have meetings over drinks, and I'll say something witty and win you over, and then we'll go out for a smoke and all leave the bar with women to use up, and then go home, and then we'll have business connections.
Yeah. Like, very like old school networking style. Like, you think of like businessmen or like lawyers.
Yeah.
Or like, let me buy you a drink while I get this deal out of you, basically. But that really is it. Networking in the TTRPG space should be about building connections so you can work together in the future. You're not selling someone on a deal.
Well, and I worked in banking, so I came from the corporate world into education. And so I've been at those dinners where I was expected to order a drink because the CEO ordered a drink. And so now I have to. And that's weird. And so I have stepped away to use the restroom and asked like bartenders to make it look like I was drinking, but I'm not, that kind of thing. Bring me a Coke with a lime on it so it looks like I'm having a cocktail kind of stuff.
Can you give me a tonic water with lime?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and or make it super weak so it smells like vodka, but it's not, because that's not safe. It's not safe for me. But one of the good news things is that there are people who are trying to change these things. Like, I think of Consciously. I think of who is a Black educator who is he's awesome. He's so good. He says things and I'm just like,
I love me some Consciously.
He's great. And then he's lately been sharing a lot of this prison feminism, or prison feminist or something like that, where this guy is in prison and he says toxic masculinity is why we're all here. And let me teach you what that means. And he's like, if all of our goal is to have power and to not express our feelings, because if you do, then you're weak, then that's how we end up here.
Yep.
It's because our culture is toxic and they expect us to be a certain thing. And then, so we fight with each other. We want more power. So we do things that we shouldn't be doing. And he's like, so he's teaching them about toxic masculinity. And he's like, learning about feminism changed my life. And he like starts naming all of these books that he read while he was in prison. And it was like, it's people like that are like giving me hope. And all these educators I follow on TikTok, like the TikTok educators are mostly great. I follow like Jay Salazar is somebody that everyone should follow, whether you're an educator or not, because he's really funny. And he's a fat brown dude. So like he's funny. I love him.
I've been learning a lot about our indigenous family from Modern Warrior, who is just
and beautiful. Modern Warrior.
Like, I swear to look, I'm a cishet dude, but my God, my man's hair is flowing and it's
my
gorgeous.
God. Did you see the recent video where it was like, this person is equally like, I will fuck you up, but also I hope you find peace? And it was like the picture of him at the gym and he's all ripped and got his hair in a braid, and then the next video picture is like all sweet and like hair all flowing, and I'm just like, yes, that's the kind of energy I want to bring to the world.
With a lot of stuff that I've read about my culture in particular in relation to this country, there have been I don't think people respect just how hard our government has worked to make sure that we don't talk to each other. I don't think people really respect just how much energy in the last couple of decades that they spent to make sure that I hate you and you hate me and we fight each other so we don't go, wait a second, should we eat them? And I think it's slowly getting to the point where we have fought ourselves exhausted. Mm-hmm. And you know, like, I don't know if you've ever like been in a real fight, but fights can end 3 ways. Somebody stops it, like they pull you apart, somebody dies, or you get so exhausted that you just talk. And I've been in a fight where you get so exhausted where it's just like, fuck you, dude. No, fuck you. Why did you even say that about me? I didn't say that about you. I was talking to the person behind you. Like, where? Yeah. Oh shit, my bad. like, I have been in like fights where I've been so exhausted where it's just like, once we get to the point where fighting and clearly is not working.
There, so thank God I didn't kill you.
Right? It's just like, and I know that's part of my toxic past.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much. When you do stand up in Chicago, you're gonna end up in a couple. Just go be honest with you.
I've seen motherfuckers become friends after fist fights.
That's so true, though. Like, some of my best friends that I know in real life, we became friends after a really savage, like, I'm gonna motherfucking murder you. Like, it's not the greatest thing, but I think there is something to, once you've expended all your energy for hatred, all that's left is understanding. Yeah. And I think that our cultures have fought each other for so long at the direction of this invisible hand that is capitalism, that we're getting to the point where we're exhausted and we're listening to each other. And it's not going to happen all at once, but enough of us are listening to each other going, I thought you thought this about me. And it's like, no, I don't think that about you. My stupid ass granddad does, but he thinks all sorts of dumb shit. It's just like...
there was a TikTok that I saw where it was like the perfect analogy for institutionalized racism. And it's like, okay, so picture the 1950s. My grandpa punches your grandpa in the face. No reason, unprovoked, they never talk about it. Move on to the 1980s. My dad punches your dad in the face. Move on to today. I meet you. You know our family's history that my grandpa and my dad have punched your dad and your grandpa in the face. Isn't it on me to make sure that you know that I'm not a person who's going to punch you in the face?
And more importantly, it's on you to also understand that there's always going to be that little bit of me that doesn't believe.
That's not good.
It's just like you're trying to get my guard down so you can punch me in the face. I know this true.
The onus is on me, the person who has a family, who knows that my family has punched your family in the face, to be like, no, one, I'm not going to punch you on the face. I'm not. I do not condone the actions of my forefathers. But at the same time, I completely understand that if you don't trust me not to punch you in the face.
Right.
Yes.
I do want to plug one more person that everyone should follow.
Absolutely.
Reverend Dr. William J. Barber. I'm putting his name in the chat because it's a lot.
I know him.
Yeah, he's the Poor People's Movement, and Unite the Poor is the company that they, or the corporation they started. But basically, his whole thing is like, he's basically what we want all religious people to be like, and teaches the whole like, like Jesus's teachings were basically socialism, and we're going to unite the poor to overcome this government, this white patriarchal government. So he's a really good follow as well. He says a lot of really important things.
Oh, awesome. Like I always advocate for blasting people that are doing it right. I think there is this idea that a lot of white liberals hold on to, that the races are just going to die out. That's I think that we are now at a point where we understand that that is not the case. We have seen the fresh new batch of racists, and I think this model is highly defective. But
we're gonna take a very long time, and we're gonna have to survive through.
Why did I think like the Gremlins 2 poster? Racist 2, the new batch.
These ones support Trump, so it's just like, you know, we need to understand that it's going to. Black people aren't going to be able to beat racism. The LGBTQA plus community isn't going to be able to defeat homophobia. You know, the Latinx community is not going to be able to defeat racism. Our Asian brothers and sisters, they're not going to be able to defeat racism. It's going to take all of us together going, stop this shit. And I think nobody knows that better than the racists.
Yeah.
And that's why they're doing things like making it harder for us to vote. Now they'll say they're making it harder for the Black community to vote, but really, it's all of us. Like, the attacks on me are an attack on you. Like, the people that don't have my best interest at heart, I guarantee don't have your best interest at heart. So we all need to just get on the same page. And I believe that it's coming because, I mean, Trump was such a hit on all of us.
Yeah.
It was a big eye-opener for so many people, especially white liberals. Like, it was a huge eye-opener because we're like, we had a Black president, so we're okay. And it's like, no. There's always whenever you go 2 steps forward, there's always a step back again. And there's always a backlash from conservatives
White
because
rage.
Yeah, because they don't want to give up their privilege. But the other person to follow is Gay Jesus on TikTok. Have you guys seen him?
I love Gay Jesus.
Love him. I didn't know about the cathars, so that was really cool to learn about. And he's just really funny, and also like his hair is beautiful, and I love his makeup. That's another person to follow on TikTok who's educating the masses in a really fun and entertaining way.
And yes, Paul didn't like anyone having sex and made it everybody else's problem.
Yeah. That's what it is. Jagazus. Yeah.
Jesus. It can, okay, I'm just like, I respect everybody's right to adhere to whatever religion that they want. I believe that you can believe whatever you want. However, the Catholic Church, we need to burn it down. We need to go to the Vatican and we need to stomp every motherfucker there, and we need to take back the stolen gold and the stolen treasures and give it back to wherever it came from. And we need to find each person that has harmed a child. We need to find each person that had, and it's always children
and and women, because they also were they had that big movement of stealing people's babies, basically, of like going, oh well, you're an unwed mother, come live in this housing for women, and then convince them to give up their children, or literally stole them, or stole kids from people who don't speak English. And so the adoption industry is scary as fuck. If you are into adoption, please read up on everything because it's fucked up. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, but yeah, so there was that special that it was Stephen Fry and Christopher Hitchens, who I don't love, but it was versus 2 people from the Catholic Church, and whether or not the Catholic Church should be whether or not the Catholic Church was a movement for good or existed for good or something like that. At the beginning, they had a vote, and the majority of people were like, oh yeah, the Catholic Church is fine. But then at the end, more people were like, oh no, fuck the Catholic Church, based on it wasn't IQ, it was something else. It was but yeah, it was a really interesting special, and that was like over a decade ago.
Yeah. The Every Child Matters movement has been picking up steam a lot, especially in Canada. I know for a fact the town that I was born in, they found about 117 more child graves at a residential school there.
I cry every time I see any of those posts. Like, I can't.
Like, it's just, look, if the child abuse scandal wasn't enough, then we have these residential. We're discovering the horror of the residential schools and how they treated the indigenous. If that's not enough, the fact that the Vatican is its own country was due to a deal with Mussolini.
That should pretty much tell you everything you need to know.
Like, if that's not enough, let's talk about the fact that the Vatican, the Catholic Church, had no problem with chattel slavery. If that's not enough, let's look at the Crusades. If that's not, like, what's it gonna take for the rest of the world to go, fuck these guys, and to take the Pope, I don't care how cool and progressive the Pope is, and yeet his weird ass out of the goddamn Vatican into the streets.
Like, don't forget the Inquisition.
Oh, and there's so much.
And their stance on the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's literally too much. There's too much to name. What's it gonna take for us all to, like, I don't understand how we can be raised on, like, movies where it's just like Lord of the Rings, where it's just like Mordor is over there, and they like, I truly believe I truly believe Sauron and Mordor did less to hurt Middle Earth than the Vatican, and I stand by that.
And so what I'm thinking, like, and it's really interesting. So this whole thing with, like, these finding these buried children, I'm like, we're gonna, that in 50 years, that's gonna be the U.S. border.
See, here's the thing with that specifically. The last residential school in Canada was in Alberta, and it closed in 1997.
Yeah, people don't realize how, I know people who didn't know it was illegal to be gay in the United States until 1977. Like, people don't realize that, like,
Canada was 68, I think.
Yeah, like, the civil rights movement wasn't for everyone. And you could literally be arrested and put in jail for being trans or queer or gay or any of that. But yeah, I think, so I was thinking about that yesterday, like, the U.S. border with all them kids in cages and all them kids that go missing, like, that's the U.S. border in 50 years. We're going to be pulling up children. Yeah. And I can't, especially as a teacher, like, I just, like, I know a lot of parents who just, like, will sob, but it's like, anyone who cares about kids, like, I'll start crying when I think about it too hard, and that's disgusting me. Like, it upsets me. One interesting thing that happened, like, to me at my job was they were using tribe, like, find your tribe, as, like, your people that you rely on and that you build community with. And I wasn't the only one who, like, called them out on it, and was like, I was like, considering the harm that the educational system in America has done to Native Americans and Indigenous peoples, we should not be using that word. That is, one, not our word to begin with, but two, highly offensive considering our history.
Yeah.
And the next day, they put out, like, an actual apology, like, district wide, and then apologized to us in person and stopped using tribe to describe that kid and that family.
Good.
But yeah, it's so there's a lot that needs to happen, and so I try really hard to remind myself of the people who are making progress and are trying.
And I hope that I live long enough to see the person that brings the shit down. Because like we're talking about the horrors that we know have been committed by like the Vatican, and the same is true for our own country. Like I often think about how many people were killed because our government knew that they could change something. Like, the
Black Panthers is a great example of like they started getting heat when they started feeding children.
Yeah.
And it's like fuck, like really, for like you talk about how we got to protect the children, blah blah blah, and yet yet we have kids in cages. We have kids who are killing themselves because they aren't supported for being queer or for being depressed. We've got kids who are going hungry, and you've got this guy that's going out and feeding children, and so the FBI has to take him down. Like, fuck you guys.
Like, it's fucked up because my part of my brand is that I love my city. I love Chicago. It's a part of me. And one of the things that infuriates me is that conservatives are always like, look at the gang violence in Chicago. Look at how they shoot each other out. Look at the gang violence in Chicago. Fred Hampton was a Black Panther in Chicago, and he started one of the projects that fed children. But another thing that he did was he walked over to each gang and went, hey, wouldn't it be cool if instead of a gang, we were an army? They were like, yeah, you know what? That's kind of true. And he got all the gangs of Chicago to go, you know what? We're not beefing with each other anymore. We're going to rock with this guy. Now, when I say he got all the gangs, I think you might be thinking he got all the Black gangs. No, he got all the Black gangs, all the Latinx gangs, and all the white gangs. Like, Confederate flag waving, we hate Black people. Those gangs, he walked to them. It was just like, yeah, I know that you hate me. I hate you too. Are you hungry? And they were like, yeah. It's like, me too. Want some food? And they ate, and they all got together, and they realized, wait a second, I hate you, you hate me, but we're both getting fucked. Screw that. Let's get some food. And for a moment in time, all of the gangs of Chicago were on the same page, from your Irish to your Black to your Latinx to your Muslims, everybody, and they killed them. And then they sparked a gang war in Chicago that has been continuing ever since. And then they have the nerve on Fox News to go, look at the gang war in Chicago, these animals. Like, no, we chose peace. You chose violence, and you spread it, and now you're blaming it on us. Like,
what do you expect from colonizers?
I know, but it's so you know what it's like. Here's what it's like. It's like you make a 6-course meal and you have your plate in front of you, and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna eat and it's gonna be great. And then somebody walks in your house, takes all your food, throws it in the dumpster, smacks your plate down, and then you go, fuck, I'm hungry. And then they go, look at this guy, doesn't even make dinner. It's just like, bitch, I made dinner. I hate it so much. It's so frustrating.
Every third world country or developing country was colonized by Europe or the United States or Canada. And that's it. Like we white people went in there and went, what happens? This is what happens when we take all their resources. Like, we're going to go in there and take all their resources and then pit groups against each other so that they have enough infighting that we can get away with doing whatever the fuck we want. And what's interesting is the majority of the history that I know about, like the real history that we weren't taught, I learned from drunk history and then read more about it because I found it interesting. And that's fucked up because I can't show those things to my kids, my students.
It made me so sad that, like, most of America learned about the Tulsa race riots from Watchmen. Like, are you fucking kidding?
Most of America learned about Stonewall from drunk history. Like,
or about sundown towns from Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
Like the Dollop is a really good podcast. That talks about just the wild history. And it's really funny. It's a couple of comedians. So that was a really fun history podcast. I'm really excited because Drunk History is canceled. So like there's not going to be new shows, but I loved the amount of representation we saw there. And it's just funny.
I'm also being educated by TikToks. That's how I learned about the Black Star Line. Again, it's the guy that comes to your house and smacks your dinner out of your fucking hands. The Black Star Line was a project that a rich black guy funded, where he was going to buy a fleet of ships, and he was just going. And he bought land in Africa, and he was like, okay, we're gonna go. You want us to go back to Africa? We're gonna go back to Africa. And you know what happened? The U.S. government shut it down, and they arrested him, and he got deported to Africa, and they sabotaged some of his ships and stole the rest of them. So much for and then people still yell at us to this day, go back to Africa. Bitch, we tried.
So my dad's come a long way, and one time he said that about a black person, that they should go back to Africa, and I was like, Dad, you weren't born here. Like, your people were part of the early slave trade, like, because he's Portuguese, like that's Portugal's all about that. And so I was like, you were not born here. He came here when he was 3. So I'm like, fuck you, Dad. Like, I was so mean to my dad when I was a teenager. He's changed a lot, though. He's come a long way.
Bully him into learning,
right?
But I do have faith for the future, maybe not of this country, but for the people in it. I think one way or another we're all gonna find a way. Something very interesting happened, and I've been reading about this. I don't have all the information on it yet, but all of the leaders, or quite a few of the leaders in Africa, got together and held a vote. There were 5 regions of Africa: north, south, west, east, and center. And now there is a 6th, and that is for the African diaspora. So what they're trying to establish is very much in the same way that if you are of Jewish descent, you are born with dual citizenship. You are of Israel and you are of wherever you were born. In accordance to what I'm reading, again, I don't have all the information, so I highly recommend reading this on your own. They're trying to do that for the African diaspora, so we would all have dual citizenship and the like. And I think that that's pretty cool, and I think that that's progress that we're seeing. And I hope that if that is true, one of the possibilities that if that's true, that would give African Americans another country or another flag to be represented under for the Olympics. And could you just imagine if all the African Americans or all the black people in the world just fucking ran under that flag in the Olympics? White people ain't seeing no more medals.
You think the Olympics would actually let them?
True. That'll never happen. But if it, oh my God, I'm still salty. I feel like Noir, you and I could have like a whole show where we just talk shit about like for
real so many things, like a straight black man and a white lesbian together and just talk shit.
Oh my God!
A segment of TTRPG.
Like, I would accidentally cross the line and you would have to inform me about the
and vice versa,
LGBTQA
absolutely.
community, and then you would cross the line and I'd have to tell you about the Black community. It would be real educational because I swear to God, that's my weak spot. Like, I'm trying to be better with that. And like, God bless all of my Black queer folks that like, they just like kind of pat me on the head like, you poor stupid sis. Like, I appreciate that more than they know.
We are hitting about the 3.5 hour mark. Do we want to start?
Right, I was gonna wind it down with one last question. Perfect. Actually.
Straight Black man and a white lesbian walk into a stream.
Here is my last question to bring us all back into a happier place where we're not thinking about the world and the fact that the ocean's on fire.
Didn't have that on my 2021 bingo card.
Right? I was like, holy shit.
Like, the ocean's on fire and also aliens are real. There you go.
I'll take it. Whatever.
I love that
anymore.
I love that we found out aliens are real and the ocean's on fire and literally nobody is bothered. It's just like,
and it happened around the same time. So
yeah. Oh, hell is materializing on Earth from the Gulf of Mexico.
Sure.
I mean, we're in the bad place. Like, pretty simple there. Like, I don't know what the fuck we did in our previous lives, but we were in the bad place. Like, y'all, we were all shitty people to somebody, and
it's
now
not that
we're
we're numb; it's that we're also traumatized. Yes. That we don't have any reaction left.
Yeah, and we can literally laugh about it, even though it's extremely terrible.
No. Card, the murder hornets got erased by the time travelers that have been fucking with our timeline. But that's why the Gulf of Mexico is on fire.
I feel like for the last 2 years
it's a butterfly effect.
I feel like for the last 2 years we've all been extras in episodes of Doctor Who.
Correct.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like, you ever think about, like, if you just lived in the Doctor Who universe, the weird shit you've seen, it's just like, oh, there are aliens in the sky, and I became a Cyberman for like 2 hours yesterday. It's no big deal.
It's just
The Sims.
Yes, just like how it is in The Sims. I promise you that.
Yo, we are unflappable. I love that for us. It's just like, we can literally catch Zeus fucking a swan on camera, and it's just like, yeah, that seems about right.
That's Zeus. There he goes again.
There he goes again. But anyway, we are so fucked as a generation.
Like, the hardest I've ever laughed. We're so fucked.
You gotta laugh to keep from crying. Like, I don't know about y'all, but there are days where I just like
Clue, and the group's reaction is us right now. Correct, Car. Correct.
But you know what? Because here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, if you take either the ocean thing or the alien thing, and you just bring that to 2005, it shuts down everything for like at least 2 months. It's just like, everybody's like, the ocean's on fire, what's gonna happen? Da, 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 da. Like, lightning is creating firestorms in Canada. Like, it's just like, and like, I can't tell you how much of a shit I don't give about any of it. I didn't even read the article about aliens. I don't care. They're real, sure. I hope they're not racist. That's the only thought I had about it. But
they weren't species until they saw us. They were like, fuck that species, bye.
I think even the aliens were just like, aliens have left the chat.
It's so messed up. I mean, okay, so a few things have happened this year and I promise I'm going to get to my question, my winding down question, but I have to get this out. The ocean's on fire, aliens exist, and we found we found the one word that white people hate to be called. We've been searching for years. We tried honky out. We did our best to make it work, and it didn't stick. We tried cracker, and it felt good, but it didn't land. Like we were just like, we don't care. Oh,
that's because we literally thought you meant like a saltine.
Oh, but
I didn't learn that it was a whip cracker for a very long time.
I didn't find that out either. And then I'm like, wow, that's less offensive to them and more offensive to me. But then, I don't know who's responsible for it. Part of my headcanon is that it's Black Panther because of Cherie, and like it's stuck. But we found Colonizer, and ooh, that one stings. White people don't like that one. Like they all over TikTok like, so stop calling us.
It's so succinct and accurate.
Oh,
it's like you have no merit on your own. You had to colonize other people to have merit.
I feel accomplished knowing that hurts a little.
I watch them flinch when they hear it. It's like, stop.
They use all their energy colonizing places that have spices, only not to use them.
So true.
Oh my god, I can't wait till we start using that in rap songs, and then like, well, that's our word. Like, shut up, colonize.
Do it. Listen, my favorite TikTok account that I keep coming across is, the person will stitch a video that's like just long enough for a black person to call a white person something like snow monkey. And then they'll write down the list.
I like the palm one.
Palm-colored people.
Palm-colored people. I was like, oh, that's good. Because if you say white people or type white people in anything, you're going to get a bunch of white supremacists to your page. Yeah. So, like, Black people are so fucking creative. And, it's accurate. And
PWC, people without color.
Yeah, like, just so much uncolored. Like, oh, God.
There's another one that was really good, too.
I just watched the TikToks of white people be like, we can't make peace if you keep calling us colonizers. I'm like, oh, you mad?
They're telling on themselves.
Yes.
Like, white people are so good at telling on themselves.
As a person who is white.
It fucking feels so good every
They get so mad.
Melanin intolerant. Okay, speaking of melanin intolerant, we went roller skating on an overcast day, and we're safety people, so we wear our pads. And car got sunburnt on a overcast day in the Seattle area, and so she had red patches here for her pads, a stripe here, and a stripe up here, and then a stripe on the back of her neck. She got sunburned in the fucking rain. My poor I'm so white.
So rain. Oh my god.
I'm a tiger.
Oh my god. Oh god. So those are the three things I never thought would happen. The ocean on fire, aliens, and us finally finding the word.
To make white people so mad.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite TikToks, and I promise this will be the last I talk about it, and then I'll give you the question. One of my favorites was one of these white guys on TikTok tried to do the thing where they're like, oh, you called us a colonizer, so you basically saying that my race beat yours, good job. And then the only thing commented on that video was, shut up, colonizer. And the next video is just like, stop calling me colonizer. I was like, what? I thought it meant you won, colonizer.
That's because they're so weak. Like, they can't, they're like, oh, I'm totally going to claim this and take it back, and then flip the fuck out when people call them a colonizer.
Gotta put a beat behind it, homie. Anyway.
What was it? Anyway. So it's like, what's the worst thing a palm-colored person said to you? And then this white girl replied, what's the worst thing that a butthole-colored person said to you? And people were like, why is your butthole brown? Do you not wash it? Do you not wash your ass? And she deleted her account.
Yes, bully racists.
Yes.
Bully them. It's okay. I teach children not to bully, but you can fucking bully racists all you fucking want.
My day's not complete if I don't fuck up a Nazi's day. I
Just
need
existing, I already know I'm fucking up some Nazis' day just by existing.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about that, and I think that's the other thing that that a lot of women don't understand, a lot of white queer people don't understand, is that the Nazis don't like us either.
Yeah. So here is the last question of the day, and then we'll let you all get back to your wonderful, wonderful Saturdays. And it is, if you could take any two properties and make a TTRPG with those combined, what would they be?
What would that look like?
Properties like
video game,
Any
video
property,
Like franchise.
book series,
yeah,
movie
video game,
series.
book series, movie, TV.
After
Audio
today,
drama.
I think
Music,
we already
'cause,
covered
like-
it when I
Yeah.
wanted to make a Bachelor and Miss America TTRPG.
Do it.
ooh, okay, I like that one.
I would combine, and what's unfortunate is that these are both written by white men, but I would combine King Killer Chronicles and Dragon Age.
Ooh.
So the King Killer Chronicles schools are the circle. The mage circles created. So King Killer Chronicles, I haven't decided. So I've decided the villains in King Killer Chronicles happen before Dragon Age, and the schools happen towards the end of Dragon Age.
Okay.
And so the mage circles develop into having schools for magical people instead of Templars controlling mages.
Okay,
And-
I like.
And the
like
magic
this.
system makes sense for Dragon Age. Like if you play a mage, like the magical abilities of Kvoth actually track for Dragon Age.
We might need to get Patrick Rothfuss on the line.
No, he needs to write the next fucking book. He does not need any other projects. I've been waiting. He better not pull a fucking George R.R. Martin on me. Fuck. I'm so glad they didn't. So there was talks about creating a King Killer Chronicles show, and I'm so glad they didn't fucking do it, because what if they didn't? Like, what if they did it and then he's like, oh well, it's the ending right there, so that's the ending now. I'm not gonna write the book.
I don't. George R.R. has to finish these fucking books, because that
He's not
can't
gonna.
be. That can't be the way.
He's
A Song
not
of
going
Fire.
to, though. I think that we guessed how he wanted to end it, and that pissed him off, and he's not going to do it. Also, he's kind of an asshole. Like, I have friends that have done, have worked for him, like at cons and stuff like that, and he's kind of a dick. And he's even said, like, oh, when I die, my computer erases itself. You're not getting anything.
Oh, fuck him, then.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Yeah, Carr said he rage quit. Like, he totally rage quit. He's like, I'm a rich old white man now, so I'm done.
Like, anyway.
And that's where I find the balance of, like, what do artists owe us? And it's like, and it's really hard, because I'm like, you made all these books, you got us invested, we spent all this money, we made you rich, like, we want that story, but at the same time, like, artists don't
Owe us anything.
owe us anything. And that's the hardest part of, like, being mad that, like, the third book hasn't been written. It hasn't been released yet. And which is why I really like Michael J. Sullivan's books, because he writes the entire series before he releases the first book. And then he does have to do some editing and rewriting. But he always finishes the series, knows what's going to happen at the end, and has written the book, and then goes back and through and edits things based on any changes he made in the first book. And I like the way he writes women, and I like how he writes magic, and how he approached dwarves, elves, and humans. So I highly recommend Michael J. Sullivan's books.
Okay, so you touched on a conversation here, and will hold us a little bit longer. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
When it comes to the conversation of what do artists owe their supporters and their fans, I think that when you start a story it is a promise that you are going to finish it. I believe wholeheartedly that when you start, there's a silent agreement there, and a lot of people have broken this agreement. But I think that's why, I hold such reverence and such love for the authors that come through. And I think that's why, George R.R. saying shit like, "When I die, my computer wipes itself." I think I think that is abhorrent, because you get to live the life you live because of the support.
Yes, but this is what I'm thinking. It's still a job. You can quit your job whenever you want. It gave you money. Okay, I don't want to work here anymore, basically.
That's a really good point.
And they're humans. They're human beings. So it's just like, they do owe it to us if they've been paid in advance and didn't give it to us. But that's just money. Speaking money. But what about us as a fan of their work?
That's a good point. So I was gonna say, like, we're not entitled to, like, knowing about their personal lives. We're not entitled to all these other things, but are we entitled to have that book? But you make a really good point, Reecie, that like it's like quitting a job.
It's a profession that they chose or happened upon, and then they just didn't want to do it anymore. And then it also gives me, I know, like, when you die, you don't get my shit on my computer, kind of is weird for an artist, because just think about, like, how all these musicians that are still making money off their records and able to release albums after they're dead.
I think I'm thinking in particular of this George R.R. scenario, and I respect the argument, like, it's a job, you could quit your job, and I don't have a counter for that. and I don't have a counter for that, because I believe you're right. But on the other hand, there's this portion of my brain, and this could be the problem. This could be problematic, and somebody can, like, help me see it differently. But it just feels like, if I start the story and you go, "This is book 1 of blah,"
yeah,
there's an agreement there. Like, I will invest my time and my money to get started on this, on the expectation and the promise that you laid out that this is book 1 of so and so. So, like, that's the agreement that we make at the beginning of this. And then once, like, and again, I'm thinking of George R.R. in particular, once I see that you're feasting and living off of telling story 3 of, like, 7, and you're like, "Oh, that's good enough for me. I got everything I need. Deuces." Like, I feel like that is a direct, hey, fuck you to the people that are just like, "I'm going to come in at the ground
Specifically, it's
floor."
a big fuck you, especially with the whole, like, the wiping the computer thing. But somebody pointed out, like, it's completely valid to be disappointed if someone's art doesn't live up to your expectations, but they don't owe you anything. And I think,
absolutely.
I think we're allowed to talk about, like,
absolutely right.
I am allowed to talk about how pissed off I am at George R. R. Martin. I'm allowed to complain about how long it's taken to get the 3rd King Killer Chronicles book, because there's supposed to be 4. I'm allowed to say those things. I am not allowed to go on the internet and say that to Patrick Rothfuss.
Absolutely.
I'm not allowed to go on the internet and say that to George R. R. Martin. Although George R. R. Martin, because he's gross. Like, he's done, the stories that people tell me about working with him, he's gross. But, like,
if you
I'm
read
allowed
the
to
book,
complain
you
about
can
it to
kind of
y'all.
tell he's gross too. Like, I think, in a circle of fans, it's okay for, like, fans to go, like, "I'm getting pissed waiting for this" as well. But to go about attacking the author, that is something else entirely.
Or when they don't like the ending, or their ship didn't work. And I get it, like, we don't like queer baiting fucking sucks, and absolutely it shouldn't happen. But we don't need to harass creators, and we don't need to send death threats to people because we're upset about something. Even when it's queer baiting, even when they do a racist trope, we don't send death threats. And
don't
yes,
ever
hold them
send
accountable.
death threats.
Right, like, hold them accountable. say that you're disappointed, but you don't need to do all of that.
Don't cross
ridiculous.
that line into being a problem, because you make everybody who supports what pissed you off, you make them look bad.
Right.
If somebody said something racist, if you then go, I'm going to send a death threat to everybody involved in this project, you make everybody else that has a genuine critique look like an asshole.
And I mean, one of the more recent examples was like people upset that Jester ended up with Ford on Critical Role, and I'm like, that's her literal husband. Like, y'all need to chill. It's okay that you're shipped in sail, and that's what fan fiction is for. So like, I think that and that's the other. That's
I didn't see anybody mad at that. I saw people pissed off about Caleb and Essek.
I think they're also pissed off because it wasn't explicit.
Yeah. And that's that feeling of queer baiting, which I understand. There's not enough representation for us. But I think that, and had there not been a sapphic relationship happen on the show, I probably would have been upset too, because I'm a lesbian and I like lesbian romance. But I think that, again, like, that goes back to whole of basing your entire personality on one fandom. When that fandom disappoints you, you have an overreaction.
It is okay to be critical of the things that you like.
Absolutely. And if you can't be critical of the things that you like, then you're not using your critical analysis skills.
Oh, and I think that is the perfect place for us to start saying our goodbyes. Look at that. We were insightful and thoughtful all the way up into the finals, the final bell. Look at that.
We have to ruin it at this point, don't we?
No. We can end an episode with some dignity for once. I'm going to
Is this the episode that we finally reclaim our dignity?
You love that.
One of us will fuck it up. It'll probably be me.
I'll do it first, so you don't have to worry. Farts from a butt farts.
Well,
I was just thinking of his creepy ass submarine character from Honey's Street.
We don't talk about him. We never talk about
and
him.
Yup.
Yup.
What was it? The Overtaker? What was it? The
Undergiver.
The Undergiver.
The Overgiver and Machismo guy, Andy Primal.
Machismo guy, Andy Primal. Oh, yup.
I still want a muscle tank that says "Oh yup" on it.
You know what? I should probably make an "Oh yup."
Please, I would wear the shit out of that, and people would be like, "What the fuck is that?" I'm like,
but like in like the Macho
joke.
Man font.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, we're saying goodbye now.
Yes.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna nail this outro. It's gonna be professional. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna talk about my projects. It's gonna be awesome. Here we go. Hey everybody, I'm Noir. You can find me all over the internet as TheNoirEnigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I am doing a stream marathon for the month of July, streaming every day. I've already missed a day, but you know what? Let's not talk about that.
Technically, you rolled over from one day to the other, so you're good.
Oh, boom. That's why I love you. So I'll be streaming later on today, probably looking at around 5 p.m. Central. We'll be continuing with Disco Elysium. That's a weird game, but it's fun. Also, if you missed it this week, it was announced that I am the latest writer on the Cursed Captains of Cthulhu writing team. The Kickstarter is still going, so if you like pirates and spooky stories, please check out that Kickstarter and consider backing. Highly appreciate that.
Throw a link in chat.
Hashtag stop the crunch. That's right. Finally, Kids on Bikes. Our Kids on Bikes game is back, and we found a new home. We've run away and joined the circus. You can find our Kids on Bike show over at Pixel Circus. We just had our first episode. this week, and I'm very excited to be telling the story. We have a fantastic cast. We've got Shu, who is a professional comedy writer. We've got Sharif of Rivals of Waterdeep fame, Kaylee Bray, the creative mind behind Damsels and Dice. And we've got me. I don't know how I'm there. And we've got Markia. You've seen her everywhere. She was on. She's been literally everywhere. She has her own spooky show on YouTube. She was also on Actually. She's just everywhere. She's a brilliant actress. Highly recommend checking out her work. Finally, I know I said that before, but I lie. I'll be on WebDM Plays. We're coming back with Fated Sun, which is a sci-fi game where I get to play a spicy Spock-like character. That's right. You ever wanted to see like sexy Spock? Well, that's what I'm playing, baby. So,
who says Spock wasn't sexy?
Well, now he's even spicier, baby. So. I get to play a character that has abs. It's great. But that is me. Now, to be much better host of the show, go ahead and give your outro. Wait, yeah, you go, and then the guests say goodbye, and then we say goodbye. Yep, we're professional, so go ahead and say your goodbyes there, Anita.
Hi, I'm Anita or Panita or Critical Misses. You can find me everywhere online at Panita or at Critical Misses. I am a TTRPG streamer, talk show host, producer, cat mom, graphic designer, a little bit of everything. So you can find me online there. Not this week on Tuesday, but next week on Tuesday, we have our first session of The Hollowed over on Tall Squall's channel. I am really excited to be joining the cast there and telling a story with my sweet little character who I have just made, and we're going to be doing session 0 this week, coming up very soon. But yeah, you can also find me here on Mondays for Kingsguard. And then coming in the future, you're going to probably see me over on the... I've heard rumors that there's going to be maybe a game on the Vampire the Masquerade channel for the Vancouver by Night people that you might see me in. It's not Vampire, it's actually Changeling. But I'm not sure if I can actually talk about it. This is just rumors. Rumors at this point. Rumors and whispers. But yeah, that is me. I will turn it over to our lovely guest. We'll start with you, Nikki. Tell us about yourself. Where can we find you?
I am Nikki. I'm an educator, LGBTQ and disability advocate, and a streamer. We have our own channel called TeaTRPG. That's TeaTRPG. All one word. And we have our flagship show, TTRPG, on Sunday, the last Sunday of the month, unless there's an event, and then we'll move it. But the last Sunday of the month at 2 p.m. Pacific. We also, on our YouTube, will be uploading some City of Mist episodes that we did with Rowan, who's Red White RP. And so that will be coming up on our YouTube. We also have an upcoming show, Pasión de las Pasiones, that I am producing and that Reecie is starring in. That is on Tuesdays in July at 6 p.m. Pacific. I do not work in the summer because I needed the summer off, and I'm a teacher. So if you need an extra person, a guest star, anything like that, please, this is the time to get me on your shows at pretty much any time of the day.
All right.
Turn it over to Reecie.
And I'm Reecie. You can find me online as Miss Reecie. Be sure to like and follow us through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube. So if you ever miss an episode of one of our streams, then you'll be able to view it later and share it with all your friends.
Boom, boom. All right.
We're gonna go on a raid. I think our partners over at Roll Together RPG are online. They are just chatting right now. I think they've got their morning show happening at the moment, or their talk show happening at the moment. So we're gonna go on a raid over there and say hello. Is that correct? Is that the correct name? Did I get that right? Make sure that I got that right. Yes, I did. Ha. So yeah, we're gonna go on a raid. We're gonna spread some love over in that direction. But yeah, we thank you all so much for stopping by and hanging out and chatting with us. Nikki and Reecie, thank you so much. You have been wonderful guests today.
Thank you for having us. This was so much fun.
So fun.
Thank you all for coming and dealing with our silliness. I'm fully awake now, I'm ready to start the day. So,
But until
I
next
guess
time.
I just told the truth about myself. Go ahead, give us the outro.
Until
Sorry.
next time, everyone, the ritual has concluded.
Woo!
Bye, everybody.
Bye!